Chapter 155. That's about it. What kind of nonsense is this? Don't worry about it, do you agree? Why, do you need my approval? Miki Kujo said with a smile. Of course, you're my girlfriend now, and you'll be my wife in the future. In a villa in Chiyoda, there was a round bathtub filled with hot spring water. Bubbles were bubbling in the middle of the bathtub, and the bathroom was filled with mist. Miki Kujo, who was soaking in the bathtub, sneered. She lifted her bare right foot out of the water, and water droplets flowed down from her smooth and delicate skin. She pressed her toes against Toru Watanabe's right cheek. First, explain to me why you were looking for that woman called my Asahi. Music theory notes. Because his cheek was pressed down, Toru Watanabe's voice was slightly distorted. If there was really something between us, why would I look for her during lunch break? Don't play tricks with me. It's precisely because there was something between the two of you that you deliberately went for lunch break. Miki, you think too much. Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes and looked at him for a while. She smiled and said, Forget it, I believe you. Don't worry, just trust me, I won't let you down. Miki Kujo snorted contemptuously and said lazily, That's not necessarily true. You and that my Asahi have nothing going on, but what about Kiyono? We're just friends. What do you think she's doing? Let's not talk about this, let's do something serious. Toru Watanabe hugged her leg in his arms, and then swam along this slender leg from the other side of the bathtub to her side. The steam rose, and it was impossible to tell who was who. The slender figure resisted for a while, and then the two were entangled together. On October 31st, Toru Watanabe was lazing around in the villa until noon. Miki Kujo finally couldn't take it anymore and kicked him out. After wandering the streets for half an hour with nothing to do, Toru Watanabe decided to go to Kamibocho to read. It was Halloween and a Saturday, so many bookstores were closed. After visiting 3 bookstores, Toru Watanabe had an extra copy of the original French novel, The Little Prince. He found a coffee shop and sat down at a spot where he could bask in the sun. Then he began to read seriously. The Little Prince was a very famous book. Toru Watanabe had read the Chinese version and the Japanese version. Now he was finally starting to read the original French version. He knew nothing of French, but Spanish and French were of the same origin, both belonged to the Indo-European family, and both were inexplicably related to Latin. After understanding a portion of the vocabulary, and comparing it with the Chinese and Japanese versions in his memory, he was still able to continue reading the unfamiliar French version. Although he didn't know if it was correct or not, it was very effective in killing time. At 4 o'clock, the sky was red, and the glass of the coffee shop was also dyed with the color of dusk. When he had already memorized the unfamiliar French vocabulary in The Little Prince, Aona Koizumi called. Watanabe, where are you? Reading in Kamibocho. What's the specific location? Sanshengtang bookstore, by the window on the 2nd floor. Wait for me, don't go away. Wait for you? What's the matter, sensei? Just as he finished asking, there was a beeping sound from the other side of the phone. Toru Watanabe was confused, so he could only order strawberry waffles and eat them while waiting. Aona Koizumi came very quickly, accompanied by Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki. Sensei, what's the matter? Don't worry about that, Huangzi said. Is this waffle delicious? It's not bad, but the strawberries are a bit sour. Then I'll have one. Aonai Miyuki, how about you? Miyazaki Miyuki picked up the menu and flipped through it while muttering, and then pointed to a large glass of milk coffee. This one. Do you want it, Aonai? I'll take a look. Aona Koizumi continued flipping through the menu. Toru Watanabe was speechless. After the 3 of them finished ordering, Toru Watanabe refilled his glass. What's the matter, Koizumi-sensei? He asked again. Didn't I promise you last time that I'll treat you to a meal if I win the gold medal in the national competition? Aona Koizumi cut a small piece of cake with her knife and fork and ate it without touching her lipstick. Ah, that's true. Toru Watanabe also remembered. That's not the reason at all. Huangzi chewed the strawberry. She was worried that you would sneak to Shibuya at night and be taken to a couple's hotel by a big sister in strange clothes. Then she remembered to treat you to a meal. Huangzi, young man, You have a fetish for girls in strange clothes, don't you? Miyazaki Miyuki sipped her coffee charmingly. How is that possible? Who spread the rumor? Usually when I wear a white coat, you'll look at me twice, but not today. Is that so? Huang Zi's eyes glowed as she asked with great interest. Aona Koizumi also stared at Toru Watanabe. My goal is to enter the medical department. I dream of becoming a doctor in the future. I see. Doctors earn more money. Toru Watanabe took a sip of coffee. Forget about the meal. Sensei, you're all together. If I'm here as a student, won't you feel uncomfortable? I'll go home obediently later. It's not worth it to make the three of us uncomfortable for you alone. Huangzi said. So just call your girlfriend over. For the two of you, the three of us will feel uncomfortable. Not just my girlfriend. Miyazaki Miyuki looked at Toru Watanabe without a care in the world. The one who put the band-aid on you in the infirmary, call her over as well. Band-aid? Aona Koizumi also looked at Toru Watanabe in surprise. It's Rin Kiyono. So it's her. Aona Koizumi nodded in relief. Ah. Huangzi screamed. Looks like you two have been together for a long time. Watanabe, we're not asking you to call all of them out. You can choose one. Young man, make your choice. Miyazaki Miyuki said in a tone that sounded like she was singing Cruel Angel's action plan. Sensei, I want to go home. Toru Watanabe looked at Aona Koizumi. Choose Watanabe. Toru Watanabe put his left hand into his hair and supported his head. Kiyono. If he really called Miki Kujo, who didn't even care about the principal, out and asked her to come over tonight, Toru Watanabe was worried about the jobs of the three teachers. Unfortunately, the three girls didn't understand his painstaking efforts. Oh, this is bad, this is bad. Giving up on his girlfriend. Young man, you've really become a legend. Aona Koizumi was already calling Rin Kiyono. Kiyono-san? I'm Aona Koizumi. Good evening, Koizumi-sensei. What's the matter? To celebrate the National Gold Medal for the Blowing Club, and since it's Halloween, Sensei would like to treat you to dinner. No need. As expected of Rin Kiyono, she didn't hesitate to reject Sensei's invitation. Watanabe is here too. Aona Koizumi whispered. Everyone present could hear it. Huangzi even used his elbow to poke Toru Watanabe. And then? Watanabe said that if you don't come he'll go back. Then let him go home and stay there. The traffic situation in Tokyo is not very friendly to his future dementia. Hey, I can hear you. Toru Watanabe interrupted unhappily. Aona Koizumi passed the phone to him. Toru Watanabe took the phone, and before the other party could say anything he said, Kamahocho, by the window on the second floor of the Sanshoto bookstore. That's it, I'm hanging up. He hung up without giving anyone a chance. Watanabe, if you say that, will Kiyono come? Aona Koizumi asked curiously. Toru Watanabe returned the phone to her, and took a sip of coffee. Don't underestimate this woman's vengeful nature. She'll definitely come just to scold me. You really do know Kurono-sen well. Huangzi nodded. She suddenly saw the book in Toru Watanabe's hand. She curiously picked it up and looked at the cover. What's this? The original French novel of The Little Prince. Do you know French? I just started learning. Amazing. Huangzi flipped through the book in admiration. She only knew a few words in English. It's nothing. Rousseau once said, it's a weakness to not want to read a useful book while drinking coffee. I like to overcome my weakness the most. Did Rousseau say that? Aona Koizumi asked as she ate her cake. Maybe it was Montesquieu who said it? You're obviously a student, but you know more than the teachers. Do we have no choice but to teach you homework? Huangzi sighed. Let me ask you a rude question. Teacher Huangzi, can you get first place in the national exam? Then can you get first place in the national exam if it's limited to English? Huangzi picked up her knife and fork. Miyuki, tell me, where does it bleed more? The aorta around the heart. If it's on the surface of the body, the carotid artery and the femoral artery, you can see a fountain if you stab it accurately. Teacher Huangzi, you can't eat waffles if it gets dirty. Please eat before you stab it. Huangzi's originally fierce face burst into laughter. Watanabe, you're really interesting. If I were a high school student, I would fall in love with you. I can accept a 25-year-old young woman. I'm 16. Huangzi held her fork in a convenient stab position. 16, you'll always be 16. Other than that, what else could Toru Watanabe say? After waiting for about 20 minutes, Rin Kiyono appeared in the coffee shop on the second floor. She was wearing a long white dress that reached her feet, and a V-neck knitted sweater with buttons on the chest. No matter how beautiful the models in the Harajuku fashion boutiques in Tokyo were, they couldn't compare to her at all. Rin Kiyono's beautiful face was cold as she walked over. Toru Watanabe dared to guarantee that she had already thought of a way to make him admit his mistake. When Rin Kiyono walked to the table before she could say anything, Huangzi sighed with the little prince in her hands. Rousseau said that it's a person's weakness not to read a useful book while drinking coffee. She flipped the book to the back and continued, but what I like the most is to overcome my own weaknesses. Rin Kiyono was stunned. She didn't understand the situation. When she came back to her senses, she corrected herself. Sensei, Rousseau said that it's a person's weakness to be afraid of illness and pain. Huh? Huangzi blinked and looked at Toru Watanabe. I already said that it was Montesquieu who said it. Rin Kiyono smiled with interest. It's a lie. Then it was Voltaire who said it. It's still a lie. Still not. Okay, then it must be Lu Xun who said it. Du bien. Sensei Huangzi, don't get so worked up. You'll really vomit blood. Toru Watanabe, who dared to deceive his sensei, paid for the coffee and the five of them walked to the street. They walked to Kamibocho Station, walked for 3 minutes to the water bridge, and walked for another 10 minutes to the restaurant that Aona Koizumi had booked. The restaurant was called White Log House. It specialized in sashimi, seafood, grilled chicken skewers, and of course some popular Japanese dishes. Everyone ordered one by one. Toru Watanabe randomly chose the skewers from the popular menu. Rin Kiyono chose sushi. Huangzi ordered the sashimi platter, and Miyuki Miyazaki ordered the grilled shark's fin. Aona Koizumi as a guest ordered more dishes. Pork shabu, grilled Far East multi-stringed fish, pork belly, grilled rice balls, pickled whole eggplant, and so on. Finally, the 3 young girls ordered Kirin beer, and the 2 high school students ordered drinks. Although the portions of each plate were small, when the table was full, some plates even needed to be stacked. The atmosphere of celebration was suddenly lifted. Cheers! Cheers! Grilled rice balls are delicious. It's delicious with some soy sauce. I want to try it at home. Shabu shabu is also good. This sashimi platter looks like there are many kinds of dishes. What are they? Bamboo fish, salmon belly, big-eye tuna, shrimp, octopus, albacore tuna. Amazing. Wait a minute, Kiyono. San, you're not going to ask me what rank I can get in the national exam, are you? Young man, do you want some beer? Miyazaki-sensei, I'm still underage. Underage? You obviously ate with a table of women without telling your girlfriend? That's 2 different things. They ate, chatted, and listened to Aona Koizumi and the others talk about the interesting things that happened during their school trips. It wasn't until 9:30 in the evening that the group came out of the restaurant. They weren't in a hurry to go back. Perhaps they were afraid that Toru Watanabe would slip away to Shibuya. So they turned to the nearby game center. It was a Saturday plus Halloween, so the game center was full of people. Huangzi pulled Aona Koizumi together and beat the taiko drum, which made the elementary school students who were watching the fun on the side dumbfounded. Miyazaki Miyuki was playing a machine similar to a slot machine. Rin Kiyono stood beside Toru Watanabe and watched him defeat one opponent after another with his good memory, combos, kickboxing master, and quick reflexes. After he defeated his opponent again, Toru Watanabe shook the joystick and said to her proudly, "Do you want to play a round? Is this interesting? Then what are you doing now? I have nothing to do." Okay. Toru Watanabe got up and moved aside. "I'll walk around with you and see if there's anything you want to play." "No. Don't say that yet. Let's see." After a round, there really wasn't any game that Rin Kiyono liked to play. Others might be proud, but if Rin Kiyono said there wasn't anything, then there wasn't anything. This is difficult. Although there's no game that I like to play, there's one thing I'm very concerned about. What is it? That. Toru Watanabe looked in the direction Rin Kiyono pointed. It was an enormous dolphin doll that could fit an adult. Kiyono-san, I have a question for you. Go ahead. I think I've answered your question about dolphins. No. Do you know the daughter of a Chiba County councilor? Rin Kiyono rubbed her chin and thought for a moment. I don't know her. But it'll be easier for you to find your girlfriend. It's nothing. Toru Watanabe patted her on the shoulder. Let's go and take a look. There were at least 50 different claw machines on display here. There were various types of dolls, anime figurines, jewelry, and so on. The dolphin doll wasn't clipped nor was it cut. It was a reward for breaking a new record in the punching machine. Kiyono. What? Rin Kiyono didn't expect it to be a punching machine, so her attitude instantly changed. It's finally my turn to show off my power as the main character. What nonsense are you talking about now? Toru Watanabe inserted a coin into the machine, and the softball that was being beaten up slowly fell. Are you confident? Rin Kiyono's tone was cold, but there was a hint of anticipation in her voice. I'm not confident, but for you, I'm willing to use all my strength. Lies. Rin Kiyono crossed her arms and sneered. You're full of nonsense, lying to girls all the time. I've seen it for a long time. It's a lie that I'm not confident, but it's true that I'm willing to use all my strength for you. Rin Kiyono pushed her hair behind her back. We'll only know if I'm confident. As long as I'm confident, I'll be able to succeed. Napoleon, who defeated the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th Anti-French alliance, wouldn't have met his Waterloo. Is there a need to tell me about those times? Be grateful that I'm so considerate of you. I'm just as magnanimous as you, Yue-chan. I'll forgive your arrogance and… Kiyono, Miss Kiyono, Rin-chan. Toru Watanabe pointed at the dolphin plushie. I'm helping you get it. Rin Kiyono's eyes flashed, and she finally stopped scolding him. Watch carefully. Toru Watanabe clenched his fist, and his entire right arm was filled with strength. Rin Kiyono's eyes weren't ready yet, and a loud crash hit her in the face. Her ears seemed to have stopped working for a moment. The red points on the scoreboard rose rapidly, and soon surpassed the historical record of 9,210 points. It only stopped moving when it reached the upper limit of 10,000 points. The glass cover on the machine slowly opened, and the dolphin plushie slowly fell, accompanied by fluttering ribbons. I told you I was confident. Toru Watanabe straightened his sleeves, took off the doll, and handed it to Rin Kiyono. It's yours. Thank you. Rin Kiyono subconsciously took it, but she couldn't see anything. In order to prevent the dolphins but from touching the ground, she had to find a way to lift it, and her hands would get tired after a long time. The scene attracted the attention of the people around them. A group of children surrounded Rin Kiyono, and they shouted in admiration, "So awesome! I'm so jealous." The girls, on the other hand, said, "I want a boyfriend like that too. He's so handsome. Hurry up and take a picture." Could it be a variety show? Rin Kiyono, who never cared about other people's gazes, blushed at this moment. Toru Watanabe glanced at her and reached out his hand. Let me get it. Okay. Rin Kiyono's soft voice came from behind the dolphin. After meeting up with Aona Koizumi and the others, Huangzi immediately yelled and urged Toru Watanabe to go punch again and take the new prize, and give one to each of them. But before they could go anywhere, the staff stopped them and told them to go to the gift area and choose anything. Tisk, so it's just one thing. I thought everyone would choose the same thing. Huangzi, who chose a set of super expensive bowls, complained unhappily. Okay, Huangzi, you should be satisfied to be able to choose one. Aona Koizumi smiled and comforted her. The staff looked at them with smiles on their faces. With the dolphin plushie that couldn't even walk properly, and the exquisite bowls, and the fact that it was getting late, everyone prepared to go back. Huangzi went to the nearby parking lot to get the repaired car, and sent Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono home. Chapter 156. On the first day of November, it was a sunny Sunday afternoon. Toru Watanabe was reading a book at home with a video that Kumiko had just sent over on his phone. By the river, there were reeds as tall as a person. A girl in a sailor suit was playing a bass horn solo. How is it? Did you improve a lot? Yeah. The reeds are so tall. Kyoto's natural environment is really good. Do you know the name of the river? Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Just as he was about to reply, a call popped up on his phone screen. It was a call from Miss Aquino. This was the first time something like this had happened. It might be the only time in his life. Toru Watanabe immediately picked it up. Miss me? He said. Hello. Are you there? Kiyono-san? Sophia University Library. Beep, beep, beep. What's going on? Is this revenge for what happened last night? Didn't she already use a dolphin doll as an apology? Could it be because she's preparing for a face-to-face confession of love, so she's shy? Toru Watanabe took a light blue shirt, put it on top of a white t-shirt with cola cans printed on it, took his keys, wallet, and cell phone and went out. Starting from the Kiwacho apartment, he walked along the slope called Kiwaizaka. In the distance, he saw the ancient ruins of Edo. Next to the ruins was the Marunouchi line that started from Sugita Station and ended at Toshima Ikebukuro Station. Toru Watanabe didn't need to go that far. He turned right halfway and arrived at his destination in less than 3 minutes, Sophia University's Shiya campus. Kiyono-san didn't say which campus, but for people who live near Shiya Station, it should be Shiya campus. Right? It doesn't matter if it's wrong. Toru Watanabe has already found an excuse. I'm not a native of Tokyo, and my goal is not Sophia University. As a native and invitee, it's your responsibility not to make it clear. Please reflect on it. While looking for an excuse, he already saw Rin Kiyono and Aoi Ichiki. It doesn't seem to be a confession of love. No, it's too early to give up. He could still make a comeback. There was still hope. Good afternoon, Raza, Itsuki classmate. The two of them who were chatting turned around and saw Toru Watanabe walking over from afar. Handsome and delicate, he was brimming with confidence. His every move carried the elegance of a beautiful young man. They actually came. Aoi Ichiki said in disbelief. What's really here? Toru Watanabe walked up the steps and stood with them. I heard from the girls in class for that you, Koen Watanabe, never accept any girl's invitation to hang out. I thought you wouldn't come. Who asked Kiyono to be so beautiful and rich? She would take the initiative to treat us when we go out. I see. Aoi Ichiki didn't know how to continue the conversation. Rin Kiyono didn't care about this boring topic, nor did he want to expose Toru Watanabe's lies in front of others. She looked at Toru Watanabe from head to toe, and her eyes stopped at his unbuttoned shirt. To act cool. Tokyo in November was very cold. Toru Watanabe looked down at the cola on his chest. What's cool about cola? If possible, I like mi lao more. Who said that? Rin Kiyono glared at him with dissatisfaction. Why did you unbutton your shirt? It's cooler this way. Toru Watanabe said matter-of-factly. Rin Kiyono's breath stopped, and she looked at him unhappily. Are you playing with me? Toru Watanabe didn't answer, and changed the topic. Why did you call me out? Sunday is my precious study time. If you delay me from getting first place next time, are you prepared to pay the price? Rin Kiyono wasn't happy that Toru Watanabe was playing with her, but she didn't continue to pursue it. She explained. Itsuki classmate has already asked Senior Mayasahi about her study trip location. So fast. Where? Toru Watanabe looked at Aoi Ichiki. Please don't tell me it's Kyoto. Koen Watanabe, you know about it too? Toru Watanabe was speechless and finally sighed. Forget it, after all, 47% of students from Tokyo go to Kyoto for study trip, so it's not surprising. Aoi Ichiki wanted to say something, but Rin Kiyono, who was being scrutinized by the passing students, said, let's go in first. And so the three of them walked into the library. It was called the Central Library, and there were 11 floors from the second floor to the 9th floor. There were about 1 million books on humanities, social sciences, science and engineering, and about 11,000 magazines. What are we doing here? Toru Watanabe asked as he looked at the layout of the library. We're looking for travel magazines to see which places are suitable for confessing. Aoi Ichiki looked around expectantly, as if she had found a target, and said excitedly, "Over there. The magazines are over there. Let's go." The three of them split up to look for magazines about Kyoto. Toru Watanabe stood in front of the bookshelf, looking at the spines of the books that were arranged according to the 50-tone chart. He randomly picked one out, and the faint smell of books soothed the pain of going to Kyoto. After choosing 2 Kyoto travel magazines, he walked to the place where the three of them had agreed to meet. The round table by the armrest. From the armrest, he could see the ground floor of the library. This was a place where whispers were allowed. Rin Kiyono was the second to return, and the magazines in her hands were not travel magazines. Mishima Yukio's Golden Pavilion Temple, Kawabata Yazunari's ancient capital, Yamamura Mice's Kyoto Dongshan murder case, and Marimi Noboru Mihiko's Spring Nights Are Short. Girls move forward. You're here to read? Don't force yourself to speak if your memory is bad. Rin Kiyono put the books on the table. These are novels set in Kyoto, and there's a lot of romance in them. It's possible to find good spots that aren't in the travel magazines. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. But I recommend another one of Yamamura Mice's novels. Which one? Rin Kiyono asked curiously. Kyoto Indecent Travels. You can shut up now. Okay, no problem. I'll do whatever Risan says. Toru Watanabe thought of himself as a great hero, so it wasn't strange for him to adapt to the situation. Rin Kiyono pressed her forehead and sighed as if she didn't have any hope for him. She flipped open Spring Nights Are Short, Girls Move Forward. Toru Watanabe flipped through the magazine in boredom. He didn't look at the words and only looked at the pictures. After he finished flipping through the magazine and noted down a few locations, Aoi Ichiki walked over with a large stack of magazines. I've brought all the magazines from the past few years. Classmate Itsuki. Rin Kiyono looked in surprise at the magazines that seemed to be about to overturn the table. Kyoto is a 1,000-year-old ancient capital, but there are only a few attractions. You only need a few magazines to cover all of them. Any more than that would just be meaningless repetition. That's right. Then should I go back? Forget it. Rin Kiyono sighed. Since we have nothing to do in the afternoon, let's flip through the magazines one by one. That's great. Thank you, Kiyono classmate. Classmate Itsuki, these are the attractions I recommended. Toru Watanabe handed over the 2 magazines that were flipped open. Thank you. You're welcome. I'll go back first. See you at school tomorrow. Toru Watanabe stood up. Watanabe classmate, wait a moment. Rin Kiyono pushed half of the magazines in front of Toru Watanabe. You can only go back after you finish reading these. What if I don't read them? I sincerely suggest that you read them, Rin Kiyono said with a bright smile. Okay, I understand. Toru Watanabe sat down again and picked up the first magazine. Aoi Ichiki said embarrassedly. If Koen Watanabe has something to do, you can leave first. You've already helped me a lot, so there's no need. It's fine. The person who spoke was Rin Kiyono. She leisurely continued reading, Spring Nights Are Too Short. Girls Move Forward. This is a club activity. Besides, he has nothing to do when he goes back. Studying isn't a problem? Toru Watanabe wasn't happy. I'll allow you to sit across from me for the entire afternoon and admire my beauty to your heart's content, Rin Kiyono said proudly as she lifted her long hair. You should have said so earlier. I'm more than happy to. Of course he was joking. Ever since he joined the Human Observation Department, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono met every day, so this afternoon wasn't a problem at all. It was all because Rin Kiyono was his friend. If they weren't friends and she dared to talk to him like this, Toru Watanabe would have slapped her twice. Considering Miki Kujo's experience, he decided not to slap her. He wasn't the type to bicker with girls. The three of them surrounded the large pile of magazines and flipped through them one by one. When they saw a scenic spot that caught their eye, they would discuss it for a while. If they felt that it was good, they would keep it for the time being. Mist Mountain seems like a good place, especially this bamboo forest. Won't there be too many people? Rin Kiyono said seriously as she thought about it. We can choose to go at night. There will be fewer people then. Aoi Ichiki was very excited. Kun Watanabe, what do you think? Toru Watanabe looked at the familiar scene. It's best if we don't. What's the reason? Rin Kiyono asked. I've read a lot of light novels, anime, and manga. For example, the very famous Spring Things. None of the confessions there were successful. Are you serious? That low? Aoi Ichiki was shocked. But light novels are light novels. Reality is reality. You can give it a try. No need, no need. Let's go somewhere else. Aoi Ichiki hurriedly skipped the page about the bamboo forest. Oh right, Itsuki classmate. How did you find out about the location of the trip for class 3-2? Toru Watanabe asked as he continued to read the magazine. Aoi Ichiki's face lit up with joy. I asked Mai directly. She told you directly? Yep. Aoi Ichiki nodded excitedly. It seems that Mai has been in a very good mood recently because she received a recommendation from Tokyo University. She agreed to help us train the students in the wind instrument department. She told me the location of the trip when we asked her. Then what about the confession scene that you like? Rin Kiyono didn't care about her mood. He was more concerned about the crux of the matter. Aoi Ichiki became depressed and pouted. I also asked about it, but Mai immediately stopped talking about it. Does she hate this kind of topic? Rin Kiyono guessed from his perspective. No, Mai's expression was very good. She seemed to be in a good mood, but she just didn't want to talk about it. Toru Watanabe tapped on the white plastic table. He thought for a moment and asked, Itsuki classmate, does Mai Ichiki know that you came to the human observation department? Don't worry about that. Aoi Ichiki said proudly. I took the initiative to tell Mai Ichiki, and I also used the same excuse of asking for advice on how to play the instrument. She wouldn't have guessed that I was going to confess to her. It was over. Mai Ichiki has been very good to me recently. I feel that it's not only because of the recommendation, but also because, hee. Toru Watanabe had a complicated expression on his face as he looked at Aoi Ichiki's blissful expression. Congratulations, Itsuki classmate. You've successfully fooled Mai Ichiki into thinking that you're my spy. Itsuki classmate, I have to remind you that it's best to prepare for failure. From my point of view, this confession has almost no chance of success. Even though Toru Watanabe was disliked and said that he didn't understand the atmosphere, he still decided to prepare her for failure. I know this kind of thing. Aoi Ichiki's answer was unexpected. She was clearly looking forward to it excitedly just now. She lowered her gaze and fiddled with the corner of her skirt. I know, but what does it matter? Mai Ichiki is going to university soon. We won't meet again. The trio was speechless for a moment. Toru Watanabe looked at her lowered face and felt sorry for her. She had liked him since middle school. She chased him all the way to Kamigawa, entered the blowing club, and won the national gold medal. In order to increase her chances of success, she even trusted the human observation department and told others that she liked girls who had the right to laugh at her little pursuit. Toru Watanabe wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Good luck was too hypocritical. So this is love, Rin Kiyono whispered to herself, knowing that it's nothing, but still working hard to move forward. Rosan, we're talking about Itsuki classmate. Please don't use such a cold expression, and suddenly start human observation. Also, if possible, please use more concise words to describe. Shut up. Yes. Toru Watanabe admitted his mistake so decisively and skillfully that Aoi Ichiki, who was unhappy just now, couldn't help but laugh out loud. She clenched her fist and said, That's right. Now is not the time to summarize the reasons for failure. Please continue to work hard with me. That's right. After all, it's just a failed confession. Who doesn't fail once or twice? Toru Watanabe agreed. Aoi Ichiki felt that what Toru Watanabe said was not the same as what she said, but she was more curious about one thing. Watanabe-kun, can a person like you also fail in his confession? Toru Watanabe didn't answer her question. Instead, he said to Rin Kiyono, Roseanne, please go out with me. I'm feeling extremely uncomfortable right now. At least say that to me after you break up with your Mickey. Toru Watanabe looked at Aoi Ichiki. See, you failed. Oh yes. Aoi Ichiki squeezed out a few words from her throat. After reading all the magazines and circling a few places, Aoi Ichiki gratefully left. Rin Kiyono and Toru Watanabe went in the same direction. The two of them went to the place where they lived together. On the way, Rin Kiyono recalled Toru Watanabe's joke earlier. She smiled and said, I didn't expect you to be so gentle. That's right. I'm a gentle main character in light novels. This world misunderstands me too much. Toru Watanabe nodded in agreement. Rin Kiyono thought for a while. Now that you mention it, I'm beginning to doubt my own judgment. Roseanne, you're good in every way. It's just that sometimes you're too rude. After parting ways with Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe walked back to his apartment alone. The sun was setting in the distance. The shadows of the electric poles were getting lazy, as if they were about to call it a day. It felt like he had forgotten something. But what did he forget? Forget it. Since he forgot, it meant that it wasn't a big deal. He should hurry up and organize his math notes. He didn't want to be a person who broke his promise. Wait, math notes. Toru Watanabe took out his cell phone and finally remembered what he had forgotten. He opened line. Sure enough, his chat history with Kumiko was filled with strange geisha emojis. No matter how he scrolled down, he couldn't find the end of them. His pale face and eerie smile made people shudder in fear. If he received them in the middle of the night, he would probably look back even when he went to the bathroom, afraid that a ghost was following him. It was better to pretend that he didn't see them. Before Toru Watanabe could put his cell phone back in his pocket, Kumiko had already sent him a message. Finally, read it. I thought you were dead. Kumiko, I have a very serious matter to discuss with you. What? What's the name of that river? After that, there was a series of Kyoto geisha emojis. As a female high school student, your sense of beauty really worries me. Also, the location of my study trip has been decided. Kyoto. So what's the name of that river? Ujigawa. Welcome. So it's called Ujigawa. Toru Watanabe finally felt better. What he had forgotten was the name of the river full of reeds. Chapter 157. Spending Sunday in the library of Shangqi University, he welcomed the cold morning of Monday. No matter if it was school or work, Monday seemed to be unwelcome everywhere except today. On the way to school at Kanagawa High School, the students in winter uniforms were all smiling. The boys pushed each other. The girls gathered together and laughed from time to time. Even the morning sparrows were singing. But Tagore once said, God's right hand is kind, but his left hand is terrible. So whether it's people or things, there are negative and positive sides. Toru Watanabe was the absolute negative of this study trip carnival. As for why he was negative, it was because things were too troublesome, and there were too many to count. First of all, the first thing, to ask the girls in class for votes. Obviously, he didn't want to go to Kyoto, but he had to ask strangers to change their minds and vote for Kyoto. Everyone, just from this, you can see how negative Toru Watanabe was. Before the morning class meeting, Toru Watanabe came to class. Today, most people came early. Almost all the girls in class came and were chatting in groups of 3 or 5. Toru Watanabe sat in his seat and hesitated to speak. How would Yoshimi Tamamo persuade the boys in class? With her confidence in her appearance, she would probably walk up to them and say with her cute face, Hey Mr. XX, I want to go to Kyoto for my study trip. Can you vote for Kyoto too? A 16-year-old male high school student, asked by a beautiful girl in class, would probably agree, right? Anyway, he could go anywhere for his study trip. But Toru Watanabe couldn't do it so easily. Ikeda Kazumi and the girls already said that they wanted to go to Nara to eat venison sashimi. How could he ask? Just as he was hesitating, Ikeda Kazumi led 3 girls who often played with her and came over. Kuin Watanabe, good morning. Good morning. Toru Watanabe looked at them. The classroom was heated. They took off their scarves and their blazers, revealing sleeveless beige sweaters over white shirts. It was said that this was the favorite outfit of female high school students. Even in summer, some people would deliberately wear it for cuteness. The news came from Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito. Kuin Watanabe, the girl surnamed Nisan on the far right, said in a playful voice, "Can I ask you a question?" "Of course, go ahead." In order to ask for votes, Toru Watanabe decided that as long as it did not involve the 30% mystery, and did not ask him how many he liked, he would answer anything else. It was another girl who asked the question. She asked in a lively tone, "Kuin Watanabe, where are you planning to go on your study trip?" "Kyoto. I've loved shrines and temples since I was a child, and I'm very interested in history and culture. I heard that the autumn maple leaves in Kyoto are very beautiful. The water in Azakawa is very clear, and the stone cuisine is very delicious. I've long wanted to go and see it." This was all that Toru Watanabe knew about Kyoto. "Please, hurry up and understand what I'm trying to say." "Kyoto." Ikeda Kazumi nodded and said, "Thank you," in a youthful manner. She and the other girls were about to walk away with a smile. What's wrong?" "Kuin Watanabe, is there anything else?" The girls turned around. Toru Watanabe hesitated for a moment, and made up his mind. "Ikeda-san, are you still planning to go to Nara?" The girls looked at each other and suddenly smiled mysteriously. Ikeda Kazumi put her hands behind her back and answered in a cute and proud manner, "No, we're going to Kyoto." Why? Because it was too sudden. Toru Watanabe did not even have time to feel surprised. The girls looked at each other again, and the corners of their mouths curled up in a restrained smile. "For you, Kuin Watanabe." As soon as they finished speaking, they giggled happily and left. Toru Watanabe sat in his seat and stroked the folder of Iriri Yori in his English book with a puzzled expression. Could he do whatever he wanted just because he was handsome? At the door of the classroom, Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito walked in with their arms around each other's shoulders. The two of them leaned their heads against each other and whispered something. The atmosphere of a secret rebellion surrounded them. When they saw Toru Watanabe, they hurried over. "Watanabe," Osamu Kanai said in a low and hurried voice, "I've asked around. The third class is going to Kyoto. Hurry up and get the girls to vote for Kyoto later." "Yeah, we're running out of time. Get as many votes as you can," Keisuke Saito also urged. "Has it started?" "It's already over." The two of them blinked. "What do you mean?" "There's no problem with the girls." Toru Watanabe supported his head with his left hand and spun a pen with his right hand. "Great. Wait," Osamu Kanai reacted. "How did you know the third class is going to Kyoto?" "In the line group of the wind instrument department, they talk about studying and traveling every day. I saw Aoi Ichiki mention it." Toru Watanabe was no longer in that group. "As expected of you. I have Watanabe, just like a fish in water." Recently, history had been talking about the Three Kingdoms. Osamu Kanai was hopeless. At 8:40 a.m., during the morning class meeting, Aona Koizumi let the two class leaders preside over the voting. She sat in the seat of the female class leader, Kazumi Ikeda, and looked back at Toru Watanabe writing Kyoto on a piece of paper. "Hokkaido, 1 vote." The male class leader held his glasses and announced. The school had already written the location on the blackboard, and Kazumi Ikeda drew a line under Hokkaido. "Kyoto, 1 vote. Kyoto, 1 vote. Kyushu, 1 vote. Koizumi-sensei." Toru Watanabe tugged at Aona Koizumi's sleeve. Aona Koizumi turned around and looked at him from the blackboard. Her beautiful oval-shaped face was aimed at Toru Watanabe. "We just decided where to go today. Is the school in time to arrange accommodation for us?" he asked in a low voice. "Why did the school provide you with the location?" Aona Koizumi asked. "Isn't it because these are popular tourist attractions?" "It's partly because of this," Aona Koizumi explained with a smile. "The main reason is that after so many years, some of the hotels in these places have long been familiar with Kamigawa. As long as a class chooses a place, the accommodation will be immediately arranged." "How much did the principal get?" "How much did you get, sensei?" Toru Watanabe lowered his head and whispered. Aona Koizumi picked up the automatic pencil on Toru Watanabe's desk and tapped him on the head. Sensei. Toru Watanabe covered his head. Don't be so dark. Koizumi Aonai rolled her eyes at him reproachfully. Many of the hotels near popular attractions have been booked a year ago. For example, in Kyoto, many people have booked the best week of cherry blossoms next year. The school arranged it this way for everyone's sake. That doesn't prevent the principal from getting benefits from you, right? Aona Koizumi raised her pen again, and Toru Watanabe hurriedly leaned back. Aona Koizumi couldn't reach the pen, so she used her other hand to pick up Yori's English textbook and tapped Toru Watanabe on the head. You're definitely going to become stupid. Watanabe, you're just too smart. You're always thinking too much. It's just right for you to become a little stupid. The results of the voting were soon out. Year 1 Class 4's destination was Kyoto. After the morning class meeting, the first class immediately began. After class, Toru Watanabe didn't participate in the Osamu Kunai confession meeting, but instead went to class 2. Miki Kujo was sleeping on the table. Toru Watanabe put his fingers into her beautiful hair and scratched her head. Miki Kujo slowly raised her head. Her eyes couldn't be described as full of murderous intent. They were comparable to a female ghost. Of course, a beautiful female ghost. But when she saw that it was Toru Watanabe, her expression immediately changed to one of disgust, impatience, and helplessness. She slapped Toru Watanabe's hand away and climbed back down without saying a word. Wake up. Toru Watanabe put his hand into her hair again. Miki Kujo buried her face in her arms and said in a voice that was lower than usual, Do you want to die? Where are Class 2 students going on their study trip? I don't know. Take your hand away. Toru Watanabe massaged her beautiful head and asked the boy in Class 2 in the distance, Excuse me, where are your students going on their study trip? The boy kept glancing at Toru Watanabe's hand and answered, To Hokkaido. Toru Watanabe thanked him and felt that it was a pity. If Class 2 also went to Kyoto, he could always stay by Miki Kujo's side. Whoever confessed to whom had nothing to do with him. If possible, he also wanted to spend more time with Miki Kujo during the day. Because Miki Kujo was very busy, when the two of them were together, they spent almost all of their time in bed. Unable to sleep because of Toru Watanabe, Miki Kujo had to sit up and impatiently waved his hand away. What are you doing here? Our class is going to Kyoto. I was thinking if your class also goes to Kyoto, then the two of us can go together. Miki Kujo tidied up her hair that Toru Watanabe messed up and said to the girl next to her, Where is our class going? North Hokkaido. Change it, go to Kyoto. Go to the class teacher and tell her that I said it. The other students have no objections. Yes. Toru Watanabe watched the girl hurriedly run out of the classroom and fell into deep thought again. With power and influence, no matter when, they could do whatever they wanted. Wait, he was now Miki Kujo's boyfriend. Could he also do the same? But Class 4's class teacher was Aona Koizumi. If it was a small matter, it would be fine, but if it was a big matter, it would be embarrassing to make things difficult for her. It didn't seem to be a big matter. Is this really okay? Toru Watanabe looked at the other students in Class 2. They seemed to be doing their own things, but their eyes were secretly looking over here. Miki Kujo changed Hokkaido to Kyoto without permission. They must have heard it. I will pay for all the expenses to go to Kyoto. Do you think they will have any objections? They will be dissatisfied because the benefits are not enough. I also want to come to Class 2. How about I ask the school to transfer you? Miki Kujo said with a smile. Forget it, I don't know anyone in Class 2. I can only play with you after class. You won't be able to sleep then. Miki Kujo would be a fool if she believed such a lousy excuse. But she just sneered and didn't pursue the matter. As long as he didn't go to Class 1. She didn't care which class Toru Watanabe was in. If he was in Class 2, it would indeed disturb her. Is this guy getting more and more arrogant recently? He didn't even take her seriously. What else do you want? If not, then get lost. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and ordered Toru Watanabe with a cold face. Let's go. By the way, Miki Kujo crossed her arms. I don't have that much time to play with you. I will only go on the school trip for 1 day. 1 day? Yes, the second day. But the second day will be in small groups. The school trip would last for 4 days and 3 nights. The first day, the whole class would move together. The second day, each group would move separately. The third day, individuals would move freely. On the fourth day, they would return to Tokyo early in the morning. Let's go. Miki Kujo waved her hand and ordered. Yes. Toru Watanabe answered. Miki, do you have any place you want to go? We can go together. I want to go to Kamagawa. I heard there are really ducks there. Before Miki Kujo could say anything, the girl who ran out just now came back. Probably because she ran all the way here, her cheeks were slightly red. Sensei, I agree, she said breathlessly. Okay. Miki Kujo nodded lightly. Toru Watanabe smiled and said to the girl, Thank you. The girl was stunned and looked at Toru Watanabe in a daze. The blush on her face deepened. Miki Kujo's body suddenly emitted a cold aura. She shot a cold look at Toru Watanabe. She said word by word. I told you before, I don't allow you to laugh. Toru Watanabe quickly pursed his lips, closed his eyes, and lowered his head slightly. He made an expression that said, I'm very sorry, I won't do it again. Seeing his perfunctory apology, Miki Kujo pointed at the door and said with a cold face, Get out. Yes. Toru Watanabe quickly slipped away. Before school was over, the news that the 4 first-grade classes were going to Kyoto had already spread. Especially the second class. Wherever they went, they bragged that Miki Kujo took out a large sum of money to fund their trip. They let them stay in the best hotel and eat the most expensive food. Not only that, they also said that they would use the money given by their families to the school as pocket money. This attracted the envy of most of the students. Watanabe, you can talk to Kujo and ask her to book our 4th class. You see, if you and her are boyfriend and girlfriend, then our class 4 and class 2 are like a family. Saito Keisuke suggested cheekily. You can go to the 2nd class. I'll help you talk to Koizumi-sensei. Toru Watanabe replied. Am I the kind of person who would give up friends for money? Keisuke Saito patted his chest. But it's only a 3-day exchange. I don't think there's a problem. You two, that's enough. The most important thing right now is my matter. If it was any other time, Osamu Kunai would also joke with them. But right now he only wanted to talk about Aoi Ichiki. That's right. Kunai's happiness is more important. Keisuke Saito nodded. Have you guys thought of a way? Osamu Kunai asked eagerly. Keisuke Saito shook his head. I don't know Itsuki well. I don't know what to do. Speaking of the person who knew Aoi Ichiki best, the two of them looked at Toru Watanabe at the same time. Watanabe, you've been in the blowing club for a semester. You're the one who knows Itsuki best here. What do you think? Know her best. Compared to the two of you, that seems to be the case. Toru Watanabe played with an eraser, making it spin between his thumb and index finger. The ancients said that to shoot a man, one must first shoot the horse. To catch a thief, one must first catch the leader. Catching the core is the key. Of course, chasing a girl is no exception. Yes, yes. The two of them nodded and looked at him expectantly. The core of this matter is the success rate of your confession. Let alone 1,000, it's not even 100%. I suggest you give up. Saito, help me think about it. Hey, at least let me finish what I'm saying. After school, Aoi Ichiki went to the Human Observation Department and asked for leave from the new department head, Keiru Hayami, to find Kiyono for guidance. Mayasahi, who was specially invited back to the Blowing Club as the base coach, was also happy to let her go. The three of them had a final discussion. Toru Watanabe once again threw out that to shoot a man, one must first shoot the horse. To catch a thief, one must first catch the leader. He advised them to give up early. This would make them hate him, but what could he do? Toru Watanabe sometimes felt that he was too kind. It was just a failed confession. He didn't need to worry so much. But forget it. He didn't care if he was hated or not. Mayasahi was looking forward to the confession. How should he go about it? This was the key. After Aoi Ichiki left, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono also packed up their things and prepared to go back. I heard that you did something good today. Rin Kiyono said as she changed her shoes at the shoe cabinet. Something good? Toru Watanabe thought for a while. Can you be more specific? I did a lot of good things today. Rin Kiyono paused and closed the shoe cabinet. She looked at Toru Watanabe and said mockingly, "Thanks to you, Toru Watanabe, everyone in class is looking at me strangely." Looking at you? Isn't that normal? I'll always look at a cute girl like you. You're right, but that's not what I'm talking about. Rin Kiyono clenched her fists and coughed lightly. Class 2's Missy paid for it. Class 1's Missy naturally wants her to pay as well. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Toru Watanabe changed his shoes and closed the shoe cabinet. The two of them walked towards the school gate in the night. November later, at 6 o'clock, the sky was already dark. Don't you have anything to say? I think that neither Aoi Ichiki nor Koi will succeed. What does that have to do with what I'm talking about? Rin Kiyono was dissatisfied. Because I can't succeed, I don't want to waste time. I might as well play with my girlfriend. Is that why you asked Miki Kujo to go to Kyoto? Statement. I can't persuade her. She doesn't want to go to Hokkaido. That's a lie. Well, I don't know if she wants to go to Hokkaido or not. I can't persuade her. That's a lie too. You can now tell which parts of a sentence are lies? Toru Watanabe looked at her side profile in surprise. No, but I know it's a lie without thinking. Well, I can persuade her a little. Toru Watanabe gestured a little distance with his thumb and index finger. About the same as persuading you. You think you can persuade me? Rin Kiyono stopped. Looking at the cold face of the beautiful girl in front of him, Toru Watanabe didn't know how to answer this question. In front of the school gate, there was a huge oak tree that was 30 meters tall. It was winter, and its leaves fell to the ground. It was hard to imagine the green leaves that covered the sky and the exuberant vitality in summer. Some things couldn't be avoided. Like this oak tree, since it was a broad-leaved tree, it would certainly shed its leaves in autumn. After hearing Toru Watanabe's words about the oak tree, Rin Kiyono said unhappily, "What are you trying to say? Answer my question. Are you a girl? If you don't need my eyes, you can donate them to someone who needs them." Toru Watanabe glanced at Seino Rin's chest, and before Seino Rin's expression changed he said, "Since you're a girl, you'll definitely like me. Since you like me, isn't it normal for you to be moved by my words?" Rin Kiyono revealed a kind smile and said in a gentle voice, "My Asahi likes you?" "I don't know." "Lies. You confessed to her?" "I don't know." "Lies. She confessed to you?" Toru Watanabe waved at the distant tram that was coming out of Siga Station. "How are you?" "I'm good." "You two are together?" "You know what?" Toru Watanabe turned around and smiled brightly. "I like trams the most." Rin Kiyono smiled indifferently. What was scary was that there wasn't a hint of a smile. "I'll find my Asahi and ask her a few questions when I'm on a study trip." "Kiyono classmate, on this beautiful day, I want to recite a poem to you. To the Oak by Shu Ting. If I love you, I won't be like a trumpet flower, using your high branch to show off if I love you." During the recitation of To the Oak, Toru Watanabe didn't hear what Rin Kiyono said. He only remembered that the tram rumbled past, and the lights greedily brushed past her beautiful face. Her expression was helpless and funny. Chapter 158. November 2nd, Tuesday, the first day of the school trip. Rin Kiyono looked in the mirror, confirmed that there was no problem with her bangs, and turned to the living room. On the sofa, there was a casual shoulder bag that she recently bought from Haruyuku, and a light blue suitcase was sitting on the side. Seeing this scene, she remembered what Toru Watanabe said last night. The oak is a broad-leaved tree, so it will definitely lose its leaves in autumn. She's a girl, so she'll definitely like him. Whether she likes him or not, as long as she's a girl, she'll definitely have a lot of luggage when she goes out, and she's no exception to this. Then she thought of how he pretended to read To the Oak, and she couldn't help but smile. She slung her bag over her shoulder, pulled her suitcase and left the apartment, and walked toward Shikigaya Station. The students who were traveling in Japan gathered at Tokyo Station at 7 o'clock in the morning. The second-year students who were going abroad gathered at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then took a bus to the airport. When she arrived at Shikigaya Station, she didn't go in, but waited at the entrance. In the morning, the station was full of people, and the surrounding was full of a noisy atmosphere. She didn't like the frequent stairs, but she's already used to it. In less than 2 minutes, Toru Watanabe, who was also the guide of people's attention, appeared in her field of vision. Dressed in Kamigawa's Western-style school uniform, his suit jacket was still open even though it was already cold in the early morning. Seino-rin thought that it was cool. His back was straight, and his body was becoming more and more perfect due to his daily exercise. His every movement was out of tune with the surroundings. It's not that he's deliberately trained like an idol artist, but he's quite casual. His whole person is like a cloudy day, and the sun pierces through the clouds, casting a beam of light on the world. This should be what most people think of Toru Watanabe, but she has her own opinion of him. It's best to describe him with a poem by Auden. Among the righteous he's dirty. If possible, he must bear all the sufferings of mankind with his weak body in dull pain. One moment noble, one moment lecherous, one moment honest, one moment nonsense, one moment serious, one moment full of sweet words, one moment ignorant, one moment eloquent. He's a person who does things that ordinary people can't do. He was a man worth observing for a long time. Good morning, Kiyono. In the morning light, he walked to her side. Although there's nothing to be happy about, as long as I see you waiting for me. The sky today is very beautiful. Just like this. Good morning, Watanabe-san. She responded coldly, ignoring the last part of his sentence. Let's go. Toru Watanabe didn't mind at all, and naturally took the suitcase in her hand. She glanced at him and thanked him softly. Just like this. In short, she had to treat this person with caution. To a teenage girl, he really had an irresistible charm. The two of them walked up the escalator and headed towards the underground platform. By the way, Kiyono-san, we're about to leave Tokyo. How about I read you another poem? It seemed that she was still worried that he would look for my Asahi. Goodbye to Tokyo again, by Toru Watanabe. I leave softly, just as I came softly. I gently wave goodbye to the clouds of Tokyo. The cherry trees by the river are cold sauce in the spring breeze. The beautiful shadows in the ripples are in my heart. Shut up. Okay. She put her hand on her forehead and sighed helplessly. There were 2 routes from Shiya Station to Tokyo Station if they didn't transfer. These 2 routes just happened to encircle the Kokyo. Toru Watanabe chose the Maruchi route, which was relatively less crowded but took longer. About 20 minutes later, the two of them arrived at the Shinkansen station. In the crowd, they could see students wearing Kamigawa school uniforms at a glance. They gathered together by class, standing like a few rocks in the station where the flow of people was like water. The two of them went to their respective classes. Aona Koizumi was chatting with Huangzi. Osamu Kanai, Keisuke Saito, and the class monitor were squatting by the flower bed, and had already started playing Monster Hunter on the Switch. Toru Watanabe took out the Switch from his bag and walked over. I quit, I'm coming too. He threw his travel bag aside and opened Monster Hunter. Fierce Silver Fire Dragon, no problem, right? Osamu Kanai immediately gave up the mission. Remember to bring the Flash Jade. Last time I brought 10 Flash Jades and couldn't kill it. It's disgusting to be able to fly. Keisuke Saito's character sighed and also gave up the mission. What weapon are you using? Toru Watanabe asked. Courage Tachi. You can definitely beat it with an aerial greatsword. Are you done? Hurry up. Try to finish it before we get on the train. The class monitor, who was playing games, didn't match his refined glasses at all. Wait a minute, let me change my weapon. I want to try the light crossbow. Toru Watanabe quickly changed his weapon. The 4 hunters rushed toward the Silver Fire Dragon with great vigor. The Silver Fire Dragon wasn't dead yet, and it was time to gather. The other 3 left. Only Osamu Kanai was still saying, I'm definitely going to die, just a little bit more. He struggled unwillingly. Isn't it because of that thing this time? Why are you so focused on the game? Toru Watanabe said helplessly. You don't understand. I just made a bet with myself. If I can kill the silver fire dragon before we get on the train, this confession will be a success. Osamu Kunai controlled his character and shot at the silver fire dragon's wings. A successful confession. Are you betting with God? But that's how people are. Once there's expectations in shackles, they will worry about gains and losses. Many of the elites with power and influence were superstitious. After being scolded by Aono Koizumi, Osamu Kunai finally killed the silver fire dragon before they entered the Shinkansen carriage. Nice! Osamu Kunai was so excited that he didn't even collect the materials and rushed into the train. On the platform, Aono Koizumi complained to Huangzi helplessly, "These kids. You're usually too easy to talk to." Huangzi didn't think much of it. Bring out the courage you had in high school, and they'll obediently acknowledge you as the big sister. I already said I don't remember that kind of thing. Yeah, I forgot. There were 5 seats in each row on the Shinkansen. They were divided into 3 on each side and 2 on each side. For groups of 4, 2 seats were the best choice because the chairs could be turned, and the 4 could face each other. Osamu Kunai came up late, so Toru Watanabe, Saito, and the class monitor who were waiting for him could only sit in the remaining seats, a 3-person seat. After turning the seats around, there were 6 seats facing each other. Apart from the 4 of them, the remaining 2 were naturally Aono Koizumi and Huangzi who boarded the train last. The order of the seats was as follows: window, Saito, Kunai, Huangzi, and the aisle. Window, class monitor, Watanabe, Aonai, and the aisle. It was definitely not a comfortable thing to have a teacher sitting next to him. Osamu Kunai was too embarrassed to say that he was going to the toilet. He originally wanted to discuss the confession, but now he could only forget about it. The students in the other seats were chatting excitedly, but there was no sound in their seats. I wanted to sit by the window, Huangzi said reluctantly as she took out a bunch of snacks. Teacher needs to be responsible for looking after students. Isn't it more convenient to sit by the aisle? Aono Koizumi pushed the snacks to the middle of the 6. Let's eat together. Don't be shy. Thank you, sensei. I'll leave the second class to you. Huangzi put her elbows on the armrest and held her cheeks as she ate the snacks. The bell rang to signal the departure of the train. They were about to leave Kyoto and go to Kyoto, which was known as the 1,000-year-old ancient capital. After passing Mishima Station, they could see Mount Fuji in the distance through the window. Toru Watanabe's game console was confiscated by Huangzi. She was happily playing Cook 2 with Aono Koizumi. Toru Watanabe bought this game to play with Miki Kujo, but it was worthy of the nickname Breakup Kitchen. After being pulled by the ear several times, Toru Watanabe decided to seal it. As long as Miki Kujo didn't take the initiative to ask, he would never open this game. After teaching Aono Koizumi how to play, Toru Watanabe, who had nothing to do, left his seat and stretched his body on the aisle. Watanabe, you want to go to the toilet? I'll go with you. Osamu Kunai stood up. Huangzi-sensei, please let me go out for a while. I want to go too. Keisuke Saito also stood up. The class monitor fell asleep. Are you girls? You want to go to the toilet together? Go. Huangzi stood up impatiently and didn't put down the controller in her hand. After going to the toilet, they were about to go back when Osamu Kunai stopped Toru Watanabe and Keisuke Saito. Let's go to the carriage of the 3rd class to take a look, he suggested as if he wanted to go to the front of the train and kidnap the conductor. We can go, but what's the reason? Keisuke Saito said. Do you have the courage to directly look for Itsuki classmate? I even killed the silver fire dragon, of course. I don't. Osamu Kunai looked at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe, please. You're making me very troubled. You like Itsuki classmate, but you want me to look for her. Isn't that inappropriate? Who told you to look for her? Osamu Kunai patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder. Go to the 2nd class to look for your girlfriend. Then how are you going to talk to Aoi Ichiki? Toru Watanabe asked. I just want to take a look at her. Toru Watanabe was speechless. Was this love? But it was a pity. Sorry, my girlfriend didn't come today. She'll only go to Kyoto tomorrow. How can this be? Osamu Kunai said dejectedly. Stupid. Keisuke Saito looked as if he was suggesting to install a bomb on the train, and his expression was especially sinister. Itsuki classmate doesn't know if Kujo classmate will come or not. That's right. Osamu Kunai's eyes lit up. Let's go. And so the three of them walked towards the carriage of the third class, just to take a look at Aoi Ichiki. Although Aoi Ichiki wasn't very beautiful, she was still a 6. Her facial features were pleasing to the eye, and she had a cheerful personality. She also loved to play games, so it was normal for boys to like her. But even for Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo, who were at 9, Toru Watanabe didn't say that he was going to do anything just to take a look at them. However, considering the blindness of love, everyone who was loved was the most beautiful in someone's eyes. It was understandable that Guojing Shio would do this. It wasn't just the three of them. The corridor was filled with people, and the men and women who had separated when they got on the train were now mixed together. In the carriage of the third class, some were sleeping, some were playing Uno or Monopoly, and some were watching the same movie with the same set of headphones. Aoi Ichiki and a few other girls were leaning against the window, taking a picture with Mount Fuji in the distance as the background. The three of them didn't do anything as they silently walked past. Did you guys see that just now? Itsuki classmate looks super good when she smiles. Even her scissors hand is cuter than the others. Too stupid. Keisuke Saito suddenly felt that Osamu Kunai was a bit hopeless. In order to avoid being exposed, the three of them continued to walk towards the carriage of the second class. Naturally, they didn't do anything as they silently walked past. Too stupid. Toru Watanabe was talking about the three of them. What do we do now? Keisuke Saito asked Osamu Kunai. Osamu Kunai was worried about his personal gains and losses, so he suggested, why don't we walk a bit more and then go back? That way, Itsuki classmate won't suspect that I went to see her on purpose, right? She won't suspect anything even if we don't do that. Toru Watanabe decided to pour cold water on him. Let's walk a bit more just in case. Osamu Kunai didn't care, and continued to walk forward with the two of them. Ahead of them was the carriage of the first class. There were suddenly more familiar faces, Raza-san, Yoshimi Tamamo, but there didn't seem to be many. Rin Kiyono and Yoshimi Tamamo sat together, and there were two other girls around them. The carriage was noisy and Raza-san sat by the window, holding Marimi Noboru Mihiko's Spring Nights Are Short, Girls Move Forward. The scene in front of them was just like the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department. Just like before, they didn't do anything and went back. Too stupid. Osamu Kunai muttered to himself as he walked back to the carriage of the fourth class. Toru Watanabe didn't know who he was talking about. He only hoped that he would realize his mistake in the sea of love and turn back. Toru Watanabe covered his mouth and yawned. He decided to go back to his seat and sleep. It would be best if he could see Kyoto Station when he woke up. Watanabe, wake up. Sensei? Toru Watanabe slowly opened his eyes. Aona Koizumi had a gentle smile on her face. We're here. Hurry up and get off. Toru Watanabe stretched and stood up. I dreamt of you just now. Eek. He hugged himself as if he was very cold. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi reprimanded, her face slightly red. The other three boys looked at Toru Watanabe with admiration. I also dreamt of teacher Huang Zi. She took away my game console and only returned it to me after it ran out of battery. After I charged it up, she came back to take it away again. Then, teacher Koizumi hugged and comforted me. Watanabe. Sensei. Huang Zi cracked her knuckles. After getting off the bus, at the entrance of Kyoto Station, they first took a group photo with each class, then with the group photo, and finally with the person they wanted to take a photo with. Koizumi, do you dare to go? If you dare, I'll go with you. Keisuke Saito smiled slyly. Osamu Kunai gritted his teeth. Why wouldn't I dare? Let's go. He didn't expect Osamu Kunai to actually agree. Keisuke Saito was immediately scared and hurriedly said, Wait, Watanabe, I don't dare to go with you alone. Toru Watanabe was taking a photo with Aona Koizumi and Huang Zi. He stood in the middle and made a vertical peace sign on each of their heads, like rabbit ears. After taking the photo, another girl asked Toru Watanabe for a photo. Osamu Kunai and Keisuke Saito directly came up and directly dragged Toru Watanabe away without saying a word. After listening to the two, Toru Watanabe said, "Koizumi, why did you suddenly become so bold? This is also part of the confession, to let Itsuki classmate know that I'm interested in her. But you two have to go with me. I can't do it alone." Looking at Osamu Kunai's timid and determined eyes, Toru Watanabe could only pat his shoulder. "You've already done this much, Saito, and I will accompany you no matter what." He decided to help and didn't deliberately persuade Osamu Kunai to give up. "That's right." Keisuke Saito put his hand on Osamu Kunai's other shoulder. Kamigawa emphasized the culture of clubs, so naturally, it allowed the members of the clubs to take photos. At this time, the people of each class were interacting with each other. Therefore, the three of them didn't attract any attention when they went to class 2. However, when they walked over, Aoi Ichiki, who didn't have any concerns, had already pulled Mayasahi to take a photo with her. Perhaps it was to cover for her. Seino-rin was also by her side. Seeing the three of them walk over, Mayasahi's clear and calm eyes blinked and looked at Toru Watanabe. "Itsuki classmate." Osamu Kunai's voice trembled as he asked a nonsense question. "Are you taking a photo?" Yes." Aoi Ichiki spoke as if she was singing. "A photo with the blowing section." She was in a very good mood because she asked Mayasahi for a photo, and Mayasahi immediately agreed. She even refused to take a photo with a close female classmate because of this. Blowing section. I remember that Watanabe is also in the blowing section, right? Osamu Kunai hoped that Aoi Ichiki would invite Toru Watanabe for a photo, and then Toru Watanabe would invite the two of them together. Although the process was complicated, wasn't it equivalent to him taking a photo with Aoi Ichiki? Maybe he could take the opportunity to ask for a photo alone. Kun Watanabe. It doesn't matter if he takes a photo or not. What did you say? Watch your words, Itsuki classmate. Faced with Rin Kiyono and Mayasahi's double stares, Aoi Ichiki was stunned and even scared. "I thought this was a photo with girls, but the one who was really scared was someone else." It's okay. Toru Watanabe waved his hand and stiffly changed the topic. "Speaking of which, the weather in Kyoto today is really good. The highest temperature is 22 degrees Celsius, and the lowest is 8 degrees Celsius. It's a sunny day, and the southwest wind is only a force 2. Silence. The weather is very good." Mayasahi nodded lightly, her eyes fixed on Toru Watanabe. "It is indeed very good." Rin Kiyono crossed her arms and smiled, her eyes also fixed on Toru Watanabe. Chapter 159. There was an illusion about Kyoto. Jump off the stage of Shimizu Temple. Shimizu Temple was a temple built on a mountain. If one didn't die after jumping off the cliff, it meant that one's wishes would come true. Once one died, they could be taken to the Western Paradise by the Bodhisattva. It wasn't a bad thing. It was said that about 200 to 300 people had done this in 150 years. Most of them were men, and there were quite a few who survived. On the bus to Shimizu Temple, Toru Watanabe finished talking about the illusion and said to Osamu Kunai, who was admiring the phone screen, "Do you want to try? Do you think I'm an idiot?" Osamu Kunai's phone screen was a group photo from the Kyoto station just now. In the first row, Koi and Saito. The two of them bent down, fingertips touching fingertips, and assumed the combined posture of Kakarote and Vegeta. In the second row, Kiyono, Watanabe and Aoi Ichiki. From their standing posture, one could vaguely see the awkward atmosphere at that time. They were separated by an arm's length. This involves another illusion. People in love are all fools. Toru Watanabe continued. The location is also in Kyoto, but it's at the Shika Shrine. It's said that during the Heian period, the poet Kazumi Shibuya, who was famous for writing peace songs, secretly slept with the royal prince after she got married. Where did you get so many illusion from? Osamu Kunai was blinded by love and interrupted him impatiently. Don't worry about him, Watanabe, continue. Keisuke Saito turned around and half stood, leaning on the back of the chair. What did Kazumi Shibuya do with Prince Kazumi? What happened to her husband? The class monitor, who was sitting next to Toru Watanabe, pushed up his glasses and looked like he was listening attentively. When they arrived at Shimizu Temple, they took another group photo in front of the majestic Red Emperor Ren's gate. After the class photo was over, Toru Watanabe quickly slipped away. "Sensei Koizumi, let me help you take a picture." Toru Watanabe was obviously talking to Aona Koizumi, but Huangzi impolitely handed the camera to him. Under the lens of Toru Watanabe, the two young female teachers turned into teenage girls and posed in cuter and cuter poses. "How are the photos?" Huangzi took the camera and checked the photos. "No problem," Toru Watanabe answered confidently. "In order to deal with the cultural festival, I learned video editing and studied light. What are you filming?" Huangzi complained. "Qingnai, take a look." "What's wrong?" Toru Watanabe took the camera and pointed at the photo. "Look at the lighting, the composition, and the colors. It was in the morning. When taking landscape photos at this time, it was necessary to use side backlighting to achieve a better three-dimensional and layered feeling. Look, the subject in the picture, the Emperor Ren's gate, is so beautiful and charming." But Watanabe, Aona Koizumi reached out her hand and slid it twice on the camera. Her body rubbed against Toru Watanabe's arm, and the faint fragrance suddenly became stronger. "If we don't zoom in, both of our faces can't be seen clearly. But look at the lighting, the composition, this." Okay, don't worry about the lighting composition." Huangzi patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder. "Take a good picture of both of us. Understand?" "Understood." After taking photos that satisfied the two female teachers, the group entered Shimizu Temple. The first popular attraction they arrived at was the Shimizu stage that Toru Watanabe mentioned. This was the most popular attraction in Shimizu Temple. Everyone wanted to take photos. Students and tourists crowded here. The classes overlapped again. "Watanabe, Osamu Kunai shouted in a pleading tone. "Not going." "Why? I don't have anything that I want to do even if I die. Why would I jump?" "Huh?" Osamu Kunai was stunned. "Who told you about that? How about we go and take a photo with classmate Itsuki? About that, you should have said so earlier." "Of course it's about that. What do you think?" "Not going." Osamu Kunai went to instigate Keisuke Saito and the class monitor again. Toru Watanabe took a few steps forward and stood in front of the wooden railing. The maple trees that dyed the mountain red looked like a pile of red, yellow, and green. But every leaf and cluster was different. No matter the color, shape, or density, they were naturally piled up together. It was an indescribable beauty. The green of the maple trees shone brightly. The red maple trees were like fire and blood. The yellow leaves seemed to neutralize the impact of the red and green, like golden sunlight lighting up the picture. Looking into the distance, one could see the streets of Kyoto. The above was Toru Watanabe's description after the incident. "Wow, it's so beautiful." This was what he thought of the scenery at that time. Of course, Toru Watanabe only thought this in his heart. The people who said this were the four tourists who spoke Chinese. They were very beautiful. They were wearing bright rented kimonos, carrying small cloth bags embroidered with 1,000 paper cranes, and wearing wooden clogs. They took a few photos of the scenery and suddenly whispered to each other. Accompanied by snickers, they walked toward Toru Watanabe. "Kong you 7, they said in broken Japanese. "Can you take a photo with us?" "Sure," Toru Watanabe replied in Chinese. "You can speak Chinese?" The girl in the cherry blossom dress pointed at Toru Watanabe in disbelief. "I'm an international student." "Really?" "Yes, have you seen a Japanese high school student who can speak Chinese so well?" Toru Watanabe replied with a smile. One of the girls who turned her head early and didn't see Toru Watanabe's smile excitedly concluded. "He can even say 6. He must be from China." Another girl in the dark red kimono came back to her senses and looked at Toru Watanabe. Can I ask what your name is?" "Watanabe," Toru Watanabe said with a smile under the light of the building overhead. "Watanabe by the ferry." The four girls were all stunned. They didn't even have time to complain about the name, Watanabe, before they were stunned. "Watanabe-san." Rin Kiyono walked over. She had a beautiful face, a slender waist, and black hair swaying in the breeze. This Shimizu stage seemed to serve as a foil for her. Toru Watanabe quickly went up to her and stopped her from coming in contact with the four girls. "What's the matter?" Rin Kiyono glanced behind him and said, "I didn't expect there to be so many people at Shimizu stage. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to make progress." "Razor-san is wise, I think so too. So you're not doing anything but trying to strike up a conversation with the foreign tourists?" Rin Kiyono said with a smile. "They're the ones who want to take pictures with me. When it comes to striking up a conversation, they have to be at least as cute as you, Razor-san, before I take the initiative." Rin Kiyono was already immune to Toru Watanabe's nonsense. She crossed her arms and said, "The next attraction is the local shrine. According to the plan, Itsuki-san will invite my Asahi to worship together. We'll be responsible for separating the others." The local shrine was the shrine in Shimizu Temple. It was the only shrine in Japan that prayed for love. It was quite famous. After speaking, Rin Kiyono walked back to Class 1 and was immediately pulled by Yoshimi Tamamo for a group photo. Toru Watanabe looked at the noisy scene. He was unhappy that Rin Kiyono doubted his memory and deliberately reminded him. Wasn't it just an immature plan that the two of them came up with? Who wouldn't remember this kind of thing? "The name of the country's number one. Please shout it out." Toru Watanabe could only think in his heart. "Do classmate, who was that just now?" The four girls surrounded him. "She's from the same club, a very good friend," Toru Watanabe replied. "She's so beautiful. I thought she was your girlfriend." "My girlfriend is also very beautiful." "You have a girlfriend?" The four girls were in disbelief and dismay. Of course. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and showed them the photo of Miki Kujo. It was rare for him to meet someone from the same hometown. The four girls kept praising him and were envious. "Watanabe." Aona Koizumi walked over. Beside her, Huangzi aimed his camera at Toru Watanabe and the four young women and captured this scene. "He's flirting with girls again. Miyuki was right, he's a playboy. They are tourists from China. They are curious about Japanese high school students and want to take a group photo with me." Although Toru Watanabe did not mind, he still decided to explain. If Miki Kujo heard about this, she would not care who was the one who asked for the photo. "China people?" Huangzi was interested and said to the four girls in the only Chinese sentence she knew. "Greasy number." "You're empty." The four of them replied in broken Japanese, and at the same time, they bowed like the Japanese. Toru Watanabe reminded them in Chinese. "Didn't you say you wanted to take a group photo? Let's hurry up, there are still many people waiting to take photos." After asking Huangzi to help them take a group photo, the four girls smiled and said, "I thought I could take a group photo with a Japanese high school student. Who knew it would be China people?" They said to Huangzi, "Aliado," and asked Toru Watanabe, "Student do, are they your teachers?" "Yes, they are my teachers and also my girlfriend." "Both of them?" "Both of them." "But," the four girls pointed at Toru Watanabe's pocket, "the photo just now. In Japan, it is normal to have more than two girlfriends." The four girls looked at each other and said in disbelief, "Is it true? Are you lying to us?" Toru Watanabe turned to Aona Koizumi and Huangzi and said in Japanese, "Teacher, they said you are beautiful and said you are like high school students." Aona Koizumi was more reserved and nodded to the four girls with a smile. Huangzi said in Japanese that the four girls were also cute. "See," Toru Watanabe said to the four girls. He was too calm. The four girls could only swallow their saliva and said, "Japanese people are really amazing. You are also amazing." Amazing. It had been a long time since they heard this word. After leaving the stage, the Kamigawa students began to move towards the local shrine. In the eyes of the tourists, the teenagers dressed in neat uniforms were also part of the scenery. On the way, Huangzi said regretfully, "I forgot that I am an English teacher. I should communicate with them in English." "It's okay. I have already passed on your message." In order to not get involved in Osamu Kunai, Toru Watanabe had completely separated from the students and mixed with the teachers. "Watanabe can speak Chinese?" Aona Koizumi asked. Kiyono can speak all the official languages of the United Nations. I am still far from her, Toru Watanabe said. If the student is too amazing, it will make the teacher embarrassed. You have to pretend to be stupid. Huangzi did not look ladylike at all, and held the back of her head. If I want to pretend to be like you, even if it is me, it is a very difficult thing. Aonai, don't stop me. I must teach him a lesson today. Toru Watanabe clenched his fists and made a pose that he could punch at any time. Koizumi-sensei, let her go. Today I will let her know what it means to be a professional. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi scolded jokingly. When she was distracted, Huangzi took the opportunity to break free and chased after Toru Watanabe to beat him. Toru Watanabe obviously could not fight back. He could only use Aona Koizumi as a shield. As he dodged, he said, Teacher Huangzi, if you continue like this, I will complain to the principal that you are punishing students. Not to mention the principal, even the Minister of Education and Science can't save you. The scene was like an eagle catching a chick. Toru Watanabe hid behind Aona Koizumi and put his hand on her shoulder. Koizumi-sensei. Stop her, someone is bullying your beloved student. Aona Koizumi tilted her head and pretended to be troubled. I also want to help you, but no matter what, Watanabe, you went too far just now. How can this be? I clearly like you so much. How many times have I told you don't say that? Aona Koizumi said to Toru Watanabe and reached out to stop Huangzi. Okay, forget it, there are many people watching. Huangzi snorted. Aonai, just protect him. Who knows how many girls this brat has said that he likes you? I said it's not like that. No, the only teacher I like is Aona Koizumi. Watanabe-san, just wait for the second year of high school to be divided into classes. When you are in my hands, I will let you know what teacher's right love is. Huangzi deliberately smiled and said, Koizumi-sensei, she said that your love is wrong. Okay, the two of you, that's enough. After a lot of arguing, they finally arrived at the landlord's shrine. As the shrine of fate, as long as a young man or woman came, they would not miss this place. For example, drawing lots, the love divination stone, and so on. The so-called love divination stone was actually two stones that were 10 meters apart. It was said that if one could close their eyes and walk from one stone to the other, love would be successful. If one closed their eyes, did it mean that love was blind? If one became blind and lost common sense, one would have to persist in one's goal. Combined with the current situation, it did make sense. But 10 meters was underestimating love, right? It had to be at least 1,000 meters. As someone who had a girlfriend, Toru Watanabe was not interested in this at all. Even if he was, it would not be his turn. There were too many people. Not to mention the tourists, just the students of Kanagawa High School alone made the queue very long. There were so many classes in Kyoto today. Right, this was also the fault of love. The large group stopped here, just in time to carry out the plan. Toru Watanabe said in his heart to Osamu Kunai, who was groping towards another stone, and apologized. Keisuke Saito and the other boys of class 4 held back their laughter, and gave Osamu Kunai the opposite direction. Ah, right? Are you sure? Left. Which side? Behind. Toru Watanabe left the crowd and walked towards the shrine's worship hall. Rin Kiyono, Mayasahi, and Aoi Ichiki had already arrived. According to the plan, Aoi Ichiki successfully persuaded Mayasahi to stay here with the excuse of, there are too many people now, let's wait for a while. Then they coincidentally bumped into Toru Watanabe, who was also planning to pay his respects. Are you guys going to pay your respects? Toru Watanabe's expression was natural. Yes, Kun Watanabe is going to. Aoi Ichiki's acting was far inferior to his. Heroes were created by the times, and sailors were trained by the sea. Yes, together? Okay. The 4 of them who pretended to bump into each other walked to the back of the line. There were at most 2 people in a group, so Mukue naturally stood with Asami Mai. Toru Watanabe looked back, and saw that the people behind him and Rin Kiyono were indeed Kamigawa students that he didn't know. Moreover, they were a boy and a girl. How enviable! Toru Watanabe stood there with nothing to do. Rin Kiyono, on the other hand, was watching the conversation between Aoi Ichiki and Masahi with great interest. She nodded from time to time. The line moved very quickly, and it wasn't long before it was their turn. Aoi Ichiki and Masahi stepped forward. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono followed the plan and deliberately stood further away from them. This way, the Kamigawa students behind them would be further away and wouldn't be able to hear their conversation. It wasn't a confession, but rather a wish and some ambiguous words. The level of ambiguity was controlled to surpass the admiration between a junior and a senior, but it was still lower than love. It was to let Masahi realize Aoi Ichiki's true feelings. Under this premise, Masahi would continue to accept Aoi Ichiki's invitations. If they went out to play, it meant that there was a high chance of success. At the same time, it was also to give Masahi time to think before confessing. This was Aoi Ichiki and Rin Kiyono's plan. The biggest flaw in this plan was that with Toru Watanabe around, Masahi would agree to all of her requests. Toru Watanabe kept persuading Aoi Ichiki to give up, because he couldn't bear to see her despair after seeing hope. As for Rin Kiyono, she probably didn't care if Aoi Ichiki failed or succeeded. She only wanted to learn from this process to make Toru Watanabe fall in love with her. Other than Toru Watanabe, Rin Kiyono didn't have any friends. She hated people who lied, and Aoi Ichiki was no exception. While Rin Kiyono's thoughts were running wild, the two of them had finished praying. Aoi Ichiki's face was red, while Masahi's expression was calm. Guess what she said? Toru Watanabe walked forward. If you're curious, you can ask her yourself later. Rin Kiyono threw a 5-yen coin into the box. If you know the answer directly, life will be much less fun. Guess. Rin Kiyono ignored him. She clapped her hands twice and closed her eyes to make a wish. Toru Watanabe took out his wallet and took out the 500-yen coins that he had prepared beforehand. He threw them into the box. This was his own plan. There was already a local shrine in Japan before the founding of the country. He had the biggest coins, and with Kiyono by his side, his luck would definitely change. System open. Chapter 160. New product. Lucky pendant. Lucky pendant can slightly increase the luck of the wearer. The style is based on your imagination. Hint. Unless the player's willpower is within the scope of the supplementary rules, the game will not be affected by anything, including items from the market. Special skills from temporary events will not be affected by anything. This is the standard, but it doesn't matter if I'm affected. I'm not a kid anymore. Since it's useless, Toru Watanabe is too lazy to exchange for it. He once again prays in his heart, God Kiyono bless me. He quickly looks at the skills. Skills: Beginner, Mahjong 100, Master, Magic Performance 1000, Master, Massage 10,000, Master, Women's Clothing Design 100,000, very good. He finally understood. Apart from temporary events, he can't expect the system to provide him with any skills that he's willing to exchange for with his points. But temporary events. The reason why it's voluntary, Toru Watanabe suspects that the system thinks that the player can't complete it. Now that he thinks about the system's notifications, frowny face, arrange time reasonably. Pay attention to self-protection. Guard against being deceived. Sincerely make friends. Every sentence has a hidden meaning. This isn't a love system at all. Toru Watanabe is determined to be more self-disciplined in the future. No matter what happens in the future, it's always right to rely on himself. After the worship, the two of them walk towards Masahi and Aoi Ichiki, who are waiting for them. Kiyono-san, what did you wish for? Abolish sports. I see. Toru Watanabe nodded. This kind of thing can only be done by asking the gods. Guess what I wished for? Asking the gods to forgive you for the 16 years of your life full of lies. As expected of you, you guessed it right. Toru Watanabe is not stingy with his praise. Rin Kiyono stopped walking, crossed her arms, and coldly looked at him. Kiyono-san, your bag is really nice. Where did you buy it? I'll also buy one. Senpai and Itsuki-san are waiting for us. It's not good to be at odds, right? I was wrong. After Toru Watanabe said this, the two of them continued to move and walked out of the crowd. When the four of them met up, Aoi Ichiki suggested to draw lots. Making up his mind to rely on himself, Toru Watanabe wasn't interested in the other gods or demons other than Kino Kami. He just followed behind them and watched them draw lots. The lot drawing area was also crowded with tourists, including Osamu Kunai. "Did you touch the stone?" Toru Watanabe asked him. "No." Osamu Kunai was filled with anger. "Those guys gave me random hints. You still call yourself my friend, but at the crucial moment, each of you is worse than the other." Toru Watanabe patted his shoulder, unable to say anything. Was she mocking him? But it doesn't matter. If we can get a good draw, we still have time. "I killed the silver fire dragon before I entered the Shinkansen." Toru Watanabe could not understand the connection between them. Osamu Kunai put the matter behind him in the blink of an eye and regrouped. "Watanabe, do you want to draw lots?" No. Pinning one's hopes on the gods was a stupid thing to do. Toru Watanabe, who had just been cheated of 500 yen, was responsible for this sentence. Of course, Kiyono was an exception. She was alive and at her most beautiful age. If he did not understand, he could just ask her directly. Most importantly, as a beautiful girl with unmatched legs, Toru Watanabe could stare at her for a whole day as long as she stood there. Which temple's god did not have this ability? Conclusion: only a fool would waste 100 lots. It's Moji. Aoi Ichiki looked at the lot drawing table, as if she was hesitating whether she could draw again. "It doesn't matter." Osamu Kunai comforted her. "You see, I'm still fierce." "Okay, we all understand your intention to comfort others, but please take care of yourself. You must live until your second year of high school." Toru Watanabe suddenly felt that drawing lots was very interesting. After thanking Osamu Kunai, Aoi Ichiki turned to Mayasahi and asked, "My senior, what did you draw?" Mayasahi directly handed the lot in her hand to her. "Wow, it's Moji!" Aoi Ichiki shouted happily. "Really? That's amazing. What did it say?" Osamu Kunai was very supportive. "Let me see." Aoi Ichiki awkwardly read out the words on the lot. "Flowers on the balcony, carriages on the road, treasures. In the palace of the emperor, horses on the road listen to the sound of thunder. Does anyone understand?" Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono, and everyone followed his line of sight, and also looked at her. Rin Kiyono touched her chin and recalled. "Flowers blooming on the balcony, carriages piled with treasures driving into the house. Show your knowledge and virtue. Get the attention of the superior, and you can loudly tell them your wishes. Proudly ride a horse, and finally obtain an enviable status." Isn't this talking about senior getting a recommendation from Tokyo University? Aoi Ichiki was excited. "It's so accurate. It really is a famous shrine." Osamu Kunai praised. "If possible, the two of you who drew Moji and Ominous shouldn't say anything about signing." Aoi Ichiki happily returned the lot to Mayasahi. "My senpai, you must keep it well. Love really makes people blind." Aoi Ichiki completely forgot about her Moji. "What about marriage?" Mayasahi looked at the lot in her hand and asked calmly. Aoi Ichiki instantly became nervous. When she was making her wish, she slightly revealed her feelings. "Has my senpai already started to think about it?" Aoi Ichiki winked at Rin Kiyono, hoping that she would say something nice. In the palace of the emperor, the sound of thunder on horseback. From this sentence, you can tell that marriage. The other party is not an ordinary person, but as long as you show your good side and say your thoughts loudly, everything will go smoothly, Rin Kiyono said. "Thank you." Mayasahi nodded, carefully folded the lot, and put it in her purse. From afar, the teacher's voice called for everyone to gather. "Everyone seems to be leaving. Let's hurry up and catch up. I heard that the Sound Feather waterfall in front is spring water, so we can drink it directly." Amidst Aoi Ichiki's lively greeting, a group of people walked into the school. Toru Watanabe, who was at the back, thought for a while and put 100 yuan into the lot drawer. Ominous. Family failed to prosper, in danger of death, dark clouds invade the laurel, beauty for an incense's time. Many places used the same words, but different places had different interpretations. According to the interpretation of Guanin's lot, the meaning of this sentence was, try to revitalize the family business, but compared to the effort, it is difficult to prosper. It is not a lifetime of disaster, but there are more dangerous things. Like dark clouds covering the moon, the things you want to do will not go smoothly. In a noble woman's room, all kinds of thoughts spread like incense, and the heart could not calm down. In the association column there was a special note. Everything is ominous, please act with caution. Toru Watanabe followed Guanin's custom, and hung the lot he didn't want on a high tree. Watanabe! Aona Koizumi shouted from afar. Coming! Toru Watanabe quickly walked over. Wait, it seems like Moji and Ominous were taken away? Guijing, you must live on. After visiting Qingshui Temple, everyone went to the famous Longan Temple. There was still a distance to the temple, so everyone got off the bus. It's not that the bus can't pass, but it's just to let the students walk more. Maybe a lot of people have forgotten, but the main purpose of studying and traveling is to study. Wow, so beautiful. Come and take a picture. Cheese. Remember to keep up, don't fall behind. Got it, teacher. It was indeed beautiful. This was a mountain road. The autumn wind blew gently, the maple leaves were like fire, and the birds were singing nonstop. Most of the tourists on the road were wearing kimonos. They were either couples or families. On the cliffs covered with moss, green ferns grew freely. A few girls surrounded the ferns and took pictures very strangely. Toru Watanabe took a picture of them and sent it to his parents. Weeds that need to be pulled out in the countryside are scenic spots in the big city. I'm inconspicuous in my hometown, but in Tokyo, I'm the future prime minister. After a while his mother, Watanabe Ike, replied. Who are these girls? Where's my little Rin? He took a screenshot and sent it to Rin Kiyono. I've said it before, everyone likes me. Also, thank Auntie for me. Through the text, Toru Watanabe could imagine Rin Kiyono's smug and contemptuous smile at the front of the group. After walking for more than 10 minutes, they finally entered Longan Temple through a simple courtyard door. There was a small lake, the reflection of the maple trees in the lake, and a few gray fish were hidden in the shadows. These few inconspicuous fish attracted the attention of the girls from Tokyo, and made a big fuss and took pictures desperately. After entering the temple, they could move freely. Toru Watanabe followed Aona Koizumi and Huangzi along the flagstone road under the maple leaves, and went straight to the abbot's courtyard. In the courtyard, the ground was paved with sand and stone. There were 15 carefully arranged large stones scattered around, and the surrounding walls were mottled with moss. It was said that the white stone beach represented the water surface. Toru Watanabe took a closer look and found that it really was the case. This was Longan Temple's most famous scenic spot. Even the second daughter of the Chiba County Councilor meditated here in front of the stones. There are instructions here. Huangzi pointed at a wooden board. On it were written the things to take note of during meditation. The three of them also sat for a while, but they didn't understand anything. They only took a few decent tourist photos to prove that they were also cultivators. Toru Watanabe sent a photo of himself sitting cross-legged and looking at the courtyard to Miki Kujo. I've had an epiphany. I won't get close to women in the future. After a while, Kujio Miki sent a picture of her leg that she had casually taken. Benefactress, when are you coming? I'll check your body for free. Didn't you say you won't get close to women? Toru Watanabe pointed his mouth at the phone's microphone and said in a voice mixed with laughter, I won't get close to women except for you. On the side, Rin Kiyono walked in and looked at him with a disdainful expression. Toru Watanabe sent the voice message, raised his head, and said gently to Rin Kiyono, Ari-san, don't worry. Don't worry about what? No matter what happens in the future, where you go, what kind of person you become, I'll always be your closest friend. There are so many temples in Kyoto, and there's also meditation. Can't that save your frivolity? What I mean is, the women I won't get close to don't include you. Rin Kiyono didn't even look at him with disdain. She walked past him as if she didn't know him. The two of them were only close for a short time, but Toru Watanabe could still smell the familiar fragrance of her body. At this time Miki Kujo sent a voice message. Smooth talker, I'll deal with you tomorrow. He put away his phone, and the lot drawn by the landlord's shrine appeared in his mind. All things are evil. Please act cautiously. True knowledge comes from practice. Isn't this enlightenment? At noon they ate tofu hot pot and taro soup. In the afternoon they went to the Kofun shrine. The shrine was at the western foot of Mount Saddle, north of Kyoto. On the mountain road, there were towering trees on both sides of the road. The trees were shaded, and the light from the cloudy sky was cut into pieces, sprinkled on the stone road as if feeding pigeons. Then there were stone steps. There were red lanterns on both sides of the stone steps, and the lanterns extended all the way to the end of the stone steps. There was a stone tablet in the shrine with a waka engraved on it. Day and night, the fluorescent light is like my body. Day and night, the light is like my jade. This was written by Kazumi Shibuya. Does Sato-san know? Aoi Ichiki asked curiously. Yes. When Kazumi Shibuya was praying here, she suddenly saw a sky full of fireflies, and then wrote this waka. That's amazing. Nowadays, people rarely even read Natsume Soseki, but Sato-san knows about Kazumi Shibuya. Speaking of Kazumi Shibuya, there's a story. She got married at 18, but a few years later, she cheated on her husband and the prince of the royal family. Osamu Kunai gritted his teeth as he watched Keisuke Saito tell a story to Aoi Ichiki. After unremitting efforts, he finally brought their friendship in the game into reality, and he could naturally stand together with Itsuki. Why was Saito the one who was showing off his literary talent? If he could go back to this morning, he would definitely listen to Toru Watanabe's story seriously. In the distance, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono stood together. Kiyono-san, do you think I need to buy a lot? Have you lost your ability to judge things by yourself? Although we're friends, we're not that close to each other. Yet if you expect me to take care of you like a baby for the rest of your life. Also, let me tell you some unfortunate news. My family's mental hospital won't take in people like you. How about we take this opportunity to expand our business? Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chin and put on a serious expression. Thank you for your suggestion. I'll pass it on to my parents. In return, they'll give you free of charge. Okay, I'll remember. The conversation between the two stopped. After a while, Toru Watanabe spoke again. I want to buy a lot, but I heard that only the first lot will be effective in one day. You already bought one? No. Rin Kiyono glared at him with dissatisfaction. Toru Watanabe pretended not to see and continued to think about divination. But your ship shrine uses water divination. It's different from the landlord shrine, so it should count as the first lot, right? I'm not sure. I'm very curious about your first lot. I already said no. Listen carefully. Toru Watanabe still spent 100 yen to buy a lot, and placed it in the stream flowing through the shrine. Good or bad luck slowly appeared. Ominous, it's all fake. How can there be any immortals, demons, or ghosts? It's all a lie. Toru Watanabe didn't even look at it and crumpled the paper into a ball. What's written? Rin Kiyono pursed her lips and asked with a smile. Fortune. I suspect that every lot is fortune. It's simply fooling people. Rin Kiyono looked at his indignant expression and couldn't help but cover her mouth and smile happily. The sound of the wind blowing the trees, the mountain spring hitting the pebbles, and the tourists chatting suddenly disappeared. Under the shade of the maple tree, Toru Watanabe stared at her and smiled. Noticing his gaze, Rin Kiyono put down her hand and looked at her clothes. What are you looking at? Is there something wrong? I'm obviously lying, but you're not angry. Instead, you're smiling. This is the first time. Toru Watanabe felt that it was inconceivable. Rin Kiyono's face was at a loss for a moment, then habitually became cold. Seeing that Toru Watanabe was still staring at her, she turned around and looked at the tanuki beside the stream that was spitting out spring water in a pissing posture. After a while, she suddenly realized what it was, and hurriedly looked up and seriously looked at the maple leaves. Toru Watanabe looked at her slightly flushed face, and imagined what kind of flickering light and passing shadow would be in her bright and beautiful eyes. When they went down the mountain, Osamu Kunai's wrist clamped Keisuke Saito's neck, and pressed him down as he walked. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe asked strangely. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to break all ties. Osamu Kunai was already in no mood to explain. Class rep? Toru Watanabe looked at the class rep who was watching the show. The class rep pushed up his glasses with his middle finger and didn't say a word. Toru Watanabe couldn't read the eyes of anyone other than Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo, so he was confused by them. It didn't matter what happened to them. In the noble ship shrine, he gained a lot and saw the best scenery. The hotel in Kamigawa was near the East Mountain. It was called the East Villa and was next to the Sannyenban. The Sannyenban was a stone road on the hillside. It was the Shinto path of the Shimizu Temple. On both sides of the road were souvenir shops, pottery shops, and restaurants. It was an important traditional heritage conservation area in Japan. Nearby were the Yamasaka Shrine, Yuansen Park, Kotai Temple, Fogwan Temple, and other scenic spots. Staying here was convenient for students to go out at night and experience the atmosphere of Kyoto. They could spend money and move around freely on the second and third day. The East Villa was originally part of the scenic area. Even if they slept in a shared bed, the accommodation fee was still very expensive. Class 2, who didn't have to pay, once again put on a proud attitude. The boys were too arrogant and were beaten on the ground by people from other classes. Considering that Miki Kujo would come tomorrow, it would be convenient for her to check her body. After communicating with Aono Koizumi, Toru Watanabe successfully booked a separate room and asked the staff to replace all the things in the room with new ones. The cost was not small, but Miki Kujo didn't like to use things that others had touched. This request was completely met by Toru Watanabe. Although he was still using Miki Kujo's money, after getting married, Toru Watanabe reckoned that he would dare to openly use the system's money. But at that time, it seemed that there would be no need to deliberately use his own money. This room was the best in the East Villa. Although it was small, it had a pleasant courtyard. In the courtyard, there was a simple and natural Lu Weisher. When it was filled with water, it would automatically pour it out. At the same time, it would make a bang sound. In ancient times, it was used to scare away wild beasts. The room had its own harmony room. In the harmony room, there was a coffee table and a wind chair. After eating dinner, there was a break. Toru Watanabe didn't go to the boys' bunk. Instead, he took a dictionary and a list of French verbs and sat in the harmony room to read. Studying time flew by. When he came back to his senses, the sun was about to set. Toru Watanabe opened the wide round wooden window in the harmony room. What entered his eyes was the maple leaves and green trees of the East Mountain. It was as if he was just inches away. He propped one hand on the windowsill and flipped through the dictionary with the other. Occasionally, he would overlook the dusk of Kyoto. As the sun set in the west, the soft red sunlight gradually thinned, and the night gradually covered the sky. When the sun completely disappeared, Toru Watanabe stretched and prepared to soak in the hot spring. He brought the towel and bathrobe that he had prepared beforehand. When he came to the corridor, he just happened to bump into Rin Kiyono. She also asked for a separate room. The reason was that women who had had enough would spend the whole night talking to each other about who they liked, what kind of love history they had in the past, whether they would be a full-time housewife or work in the future, what the life of a rich person was like, and so on. Where are you going? Toru Watanabe asked. The same as you. Rin Kiyono also brought a towel and bathrobe. There's a mixed bath here? Wait, let me adjust my mood. For a pure person like me, a shared bath is a bit too exciting. The same as I said, I meant to take a bath, not go to the same bath. Later on, I might not be able to control myself. Kiyono-san, you don't have to be polite. Your goal is to kill me and resist. You don't understand what I'm saying? Later on, can you wait for me outside and wait for me to drive away all the people inside before you come in? Although we're just friends, I won't allow anyone other than me to see you take a bath. If you keep talking, if I meet my Asahi in the hot spring, I'll talk to her. It has nothing to do with tomorrow-senpai. It's just that Kiyono-san likes to be quiet, so I won't talk about it. The two of them walked together, their slippers clicking loudly. Rin Kiyono's steps were slow, but since the two of them had walked together for a long time, Toru Watanabe's body subconsciously slowed down to match her pace. They arrived in front of the outdoor hot spring. Some people are going to be disappointed that there's no mixed bath. Rin Kiyono mocked. Or do you want to come to the female bath, T-san? Woman, can't you be a bit more serious? Let's do it another day. It's not convenient today. Toru Watanabe half-heartedly replied as he entered the male bath. Rin Kiyono, who was left behind, took a deep breath, then slowly exhaled to control her emotions. Chapter 161. After coming out of the hot spring, it was a pity that he didn't meet Rin Kiyono, who had just come out of the bath. Back in his room, Toru Watanabe picked a bottle of soda from the small fridge in the room, then turned on the TV and played a French comedy movie. The story was about a rich aristocrat named Philip. After a skydiving accident, his lower limbs were paralyzed, and he couldn't take care of himself. He found a young black man who had just come out of prison to help him. The plot was funny, but there were also touching parts. While watching the movie, Toru Watanabe didn't deliberately want to learn anything from it, and only remembered 2 sentences. He sent one of the sentences to Rin Kiyono. I think everyone has at least one close friend, and we've had many uneventful but memorable times together, no matter how the clouds change or how the weather changes. Missing in the middle. I know, but don't you think that's more suitable to describe us? I'm only 16, I don't feel that way. You obviously like Matsuda Seiko's songs like me? Knock knock knock. The sudden knock on the door startled Toru Watanabe, and he quickly typed on the phone screen. You don't have to, right? Question mark. It wasn't Rin Kiyono outside the door. Then who could it be? Who is it? Toru Watanabe lowered the volume of the TV. Watanabe. Toru Watanabe put down his phone, opened the door and saw Osamu Kanai, who had changed into private clothes. Why are you here? Let's go in first. With that, Osamu Kanai was about to walk into the room. Wait. Toru Watanabe stopped him. Miki is coming tomorrow. She doesn't like the smell of other people in the place where she sleeps. You're not hiding someone, are you? Yeah, my Asahi is inside. 3rd year my Asahi? You. Wake up, it's not time to sleep yet. If you have something to say, say it. Toru Watanabe said impatiently. Osamu Kanai looked at both sides of the corridor and said in a low voice. Let's go shopping together later? I'll ask Itsuki out. Isn't it better if you 2 go alone? Isn't asking her out is the same as telling her, I like her? Aren't you going to confess? Toru Watanabe asked. Of course I have to confess, but before that, I have to. Footsteps came from the corridor, and Guijingshio immediately stopped talking. The retro wooden floorboards creaked as Mukue's figure appeared in the corridor. Osamu Kanai's breathing quickened. Good evening. Mukue greeted the 2 with a smile. Toru Watanabe nodded. Hello no good evening classmate Yimi. Something's wrong. Aoi Ichiki walked closer and looked at Osamu Kanai's face. You're so nervous. Are you going to do something bad with Koen Watanabe? Of course not. Osamu Kanai replied guiltily, then turned to look at Toru Watanabe. Isn't that right, Watanabe? Toru Watanabe ignored him and asked Aoi Ichiki, why are you here? I'm here to look for Kiyono. Aoi Ichiki blinked. Although he couldn't understand her expression, Toru Watanabe could guess what she was trying to say. Just like Osamu Kanai, Aoi Ichiki was going to find someone she liked and go shopping. She lives over there. Toru Watanabe pointed to a small room at the end of the corridor. Thank you, bye-bye. Guijingshio waved his hand and smiled shyly. The 2 of them watched as Aoi Ichiki knocked on the door, and Rin Kiyono opened the door for her. Then the 2 of them walked into the room together. Toru Watanabe looked away and said to Osamu Kanai, Itsuki is here to ask Kiyono out. You can wait at the door and pretend to meet her by chance, and ask to go shopping together. How do you know? Do you think that I only relied on my appearance to win over Miki? Of course I believe in your ability. Okay. I'll wait. But what excuse should I use? Just say that it's not safe at night, or that you're helping to carry something. If they still refuse, pretend to go shopping alone. There are only a few places you can go at night anyway. You'll meet each other no matter what. Can you come with me? I don't really dare to go by myself, Osamu Kunai said awkwardly. You're usually so active. Why aren't you useful at such a critical moment? Toru Watanabe commented. You can use this opportunity to train your courage and prepare for your official confession. You wouldn't want to be so nervous that you say the wrong words during your confession, right? Why, you have a point. Back in the day, Watanabe, you confessed to Kujo-san in front of the entire school without stuttering at all. I believe in your experience. Forget about my experience. Don't learn from me. After Osamu Kunai left, Toru Watanabe returned to his room and leaned comfortably against the round wooden window. The moonlight was cold and bright in the dark night. On the quaint streets of Kyoto, there were rows upon rows of shops, and orange lanterns were lit in front of every door. Masahi and the others would probably walk into a few of these shops in a moment. He didn't know what would happen. Knock, knock, knock. Just how worried is this guy Kojui? Hesitation isn't a quality a man should have. Toru Watanabe complained in his mind as he walked over to open the door. What's the matter? Before he could finish, a figure pounced on him. Toru Watanabe was about to retaliate when he smelled a familiar fragrance. Senior Mai? Yeah. Masahi hugged Toru Watanabe and buried her face in his shoulder. Why are you here? I've thought it through. Masahi lifted her face from his embrace and looked at him motionlessly. Toru Watanabe wanted to support her body and separate them, but she hugged him too tightly. So tightly that Toru Watanabe wondered if the air between them was being squeezed out. Suddenly, there was the sound of a door opening in the hallway. He could vaguely hear Rin Kiyono and Aoi Ichiki talking. Toru Watanabe subconsciously reached out and closed the door. The sound of footsteps gradually approached, as if they were stepping on Toru Watanabe's heartbeat, and then stopped in front of the door. Watanabe-san. The voice was cold and pleasant. It was Rosen. Toru Watanabe waited for a moment and said, What's the matter? Masahi's hands touched Toru Watanabe's back. Her small face rubbed against his chest, as if she was confirming whether he was real or not. We're going to find Senior Mai. Do you want to come? Aoi Ichiki asked. No, I'm learning English. English? Kun Watanabe is so hard-working. No, it's French. Toru Watanabe quickly corrected himself. Is that so? Rin Kiyono asked. Yes, we're going to look at the dictionary and vocabulary list later. The original version of Untouchable is playing on the TV, he added. Masahi seemed to have finally confirmed that Toru Watanabe was really in her arms. She raised her delicate face again and looked at him motionlessly. It's fine if he doesn't want to go, let's go. Rin Kiyono's voice came from outside the door. Okay. Aoi Ichiki responded. I wonder if Senior Mai will agree to go with us. It went well during the day, so there shouldn't be any accidents at night. I hope so, but I'm always worried. The two of them walked away and couldn't hear the rest of the conversation. Toru Watanabe let out a long sigh. He suddenly remembered that Masahi was still in his arms. Wasn't that the same as directly spitting on someone else's face? Senior, isn't that right? Phew. Masahi's gentle breath landed on Toru Watanabe's face. It was warm and carried a faint fragrance. His bangs were blown up by the wind. Toru Watanabe called out helplessly, Senior. Masahi responded softly. She wrapped her arms around his neck, tilted her head slightly, and looked at him with infatuation. Let's go inside and talk. The wooden door looked ancient, but it didn't give him any sense of security. Okay. Masahi responded obediently. Toru Watanabe looked at her, hoping that she would take the initiative to let go of him. Masahi looked at him without moving. Her eyes were gradually covered with a layer of fog that represented lust. It seemed that she didn't agree to go inside. Toru Watanabe had no choice but to pick her up and walk to the bathroom. Masahi was wearing a bathrobe. After she was picked up, her smooth and beautiful legs were exposed. They were still hidden under the bathrobe, and the scene was even more seductive. During this time, Masahi's gaze never left Toru Watanabe. Occasionally, she would blow at his face teasingly with a slight smile on her lips. Toru Watanabe sat down on the chair in the bathroom. My Asahi was still lying in his arms. Senior, what's the matter? Toru, don't you have something to say to me? I'll do it myself. My Asahi gently bit Toru Watanabe's ear and answered with a whimper. Toru Watanabe felt his ears gradually becoming wet. His body was full of energy and his blood was surging. But his mind was becoming clearer. If the two of them continued like this, there would be no result. They would only harm each other. He had to end it. No matter how my Asahi looked at him. Toru Watanabe pushed her away and looked at her clear eyes. Senior Mai, I do have something to say to you. Yes. My Asahi looked at him with a face full of expectation. But her hand was reaching down. Toru Watanabe grabbed her hand and held it tightly. Miki is my girlfriend. Her family is very powerful and she has killed people before. And Linen Asami stared at his hand that was holding her wrist in a trance, carefully examining every finger. If she knows that you are related to me, she will never let you go. Toru Watanabe looked serious. I don't care. Not afraid of death. No. My Asahi answered softly and shook her head slightly. Toru Watanabe looked at her for a long time and suddenly said, but I'm afraid that if she finds out, even if she doesn't kill me, I will lose my freedom in the future. I don't care. Don't you like me? Don't you worry about me? Asami Mai smiled foolishly, revealing her pearly white teeth. Because I will die with Toru. Her voice didn't change from beginning to end. It was full of teasing and lazy tone. She didn't have any doubts about why it wasn't a confession. It seemed that as long as it was Toru Watanabe, it didn't matter what he said. But I don't want to die. Toru Watanabe responded coldly. Don't be afraid, don't worry. My Asahi comforted him with an ethereal voice. I will always be with Toru. You will be with me? What's the use? Toru Watanabe let go of my Asahi's hand and pinched her beautiful neck. He slowly exerted force. I want to continue to stay by Miki's side. She is rich, powerful, and prettier than you. There are many girls like you in high school. Cough cough. My Asahi coughed uncontrollably. You are so annoying and difficult to deal with. Once Miki finds out, I will lose my beautiful future and even kill myself. Toru Watanabe turned over and pressed my Asahi under his body, choking her neck with both hands. Don't you like me and are willing to die for me? I will fulfill your wish. My Asahi's lips opened slightly uncontrollably. Her pink tongue could be seen. She finally raised her hand. Toru Watanabe's face was ferocious. He whispered sternly, there is a drug called succinic. After injection, a person will suffocate to death. As long as I bribe the hospital, no one will know that I killed you. My Asahi's cold hand struggled to reach Toru Watanabe's face. Then she gently stroked it. Her eyes that were as clear as summer spring water were blurred. Her brain was gradually losing consciousness. The only thing that remained the same was that she kept looking at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe looked at my Asahi in disbelief. Without the slightest panic or resentment, he let go of her hand. Toru Watanabe took a few steps back and leaned against the wall. He sat on the tatami and stared at my Asahi, who was coughing for fresh air. If you were really going to die just now, why didn't you resist? Che. My Asahi lay on the ground and stared at the ceiling. She did not move and said softly, strangling my neck will leave a mark. I will stay here and wait for you to get the succinic. Toru Watanabe felt a lump in his throat. He hurriedly took a deep breath to suppress his sour emotions. After a long time, Senior, I lost. He thought that he had already controlled his emotions, but his voice was still a little hoarse. My Asahi turned around and crawled over slowly on her knees. When she was very close, she looked up slightly. Her clear eyes looked at Toru Watanabe. If I have to leave Che, I would rather die now. Her voice was calm and gentle. Toru Watanabe leaned his head against the wall weakly and looked at my Asahi, who looked up at him. Are you serious? Yes. Is it worth it? My Asahi's eyes were filled with doubts. Toru Watanabe closed his eyes. Now there was no need to say anything. Senior Mai. Yes. I didn't lie to you about one thing. If Mickey finds out, the two of us will really be in danger. Yes. My Asahi kept her hand on the ground and moved her face closer. Her fair and delicate collarbone peeked out from the collar of her bathrobe. But I'm not greedy for money, and I'm not interested in power. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm beautiful or not. I'm not saying this to prove that I'm good. I just want to tell you, Senior, that the person you love beyond redemption is not completely useless. Che is of course the best. My Asahi said softly without hesitation. Toru Watanabe looked at her eyes that were looking at him. Did you hear what I said? Yes. What did I say? What did Che say? Forget about it. My Asahi pursed her lips and laughed mischievously. She tilted her head slightly, and her eyes became misty. She was beginning to get lustful. Senior Asuka. Call me Mai. My Asahi said softly. Senior Mai, you heard it just now. Aoi Ichiki is going to look for you. You should go back. My Asahi opened her mouth slightly and blew Toru Watanabe's bangs gently, from left to right, and from right to left. Occasionally, her hair would be twisted together, and she would smile happily. Senior Mai, listen to me. Yes, Che, go ahead. Aoi Ichiki and Kiyono are going to look for you. You have to go back. Don't care about them. My Asahi said softly, completely unconcerned. She was kneeling on the ground. Her long hair was scattered. She looked up at Toru Watanabe with her watery eyes. That pair of clear eyes were already filled with lust. Oh right, I want to ask you something. Did Kiyono talk to you? Yes. What did she say? When she was still a consultant for the wind instrument department, she asked me to guide the others. Anything else? Except for today, nothing else. My Asahi tilted her head and looked at him. Her lips were red as if she had caught a cold, full of seductive luster. If she asks you any questions in the future, you should ignore her. Yes. Forget it. Toru Watanabe hesitated. Just say what you want to say. Don't mind me. Of course, it's best to keep our relationship a secret. Except for the system, Toru Watanabe did not intend to hide anything from Rin Kiyono. In any case, Rin Kiyono had a lot of information that could be used against him. One more didn't matter. Most importantly, as long as she wanted to know, he could tell her everything. Considering Rin Kiyono's insistence, Toru Watanabe hoped that their friendship would be built on this premise. I'll listen to you. While the two of them were talking, Asami Mai was completely uninterested in the topic. Sometimes she tilted her head and stared at Toru Watanabe. Sometimes she blew gently at him. Her eyes were already filled with tears. A few strands of hair stuck to her red glossy lips. The two of us won't end up together. In the future, I will marry Mickey. Yes. Toru Watanabe had nothing else to say. He quietly looked at her, and his breathing gradually became heavier. My Asahi tilted her head slightly, raised her flushed face, and said in a hoarse voice, "Love me." Toru Watanabe pinched her already hot face and kissed her lips fiercely. The few strands of black hair turned back and forth between the two of them. The room was silent. Only the soft sound of saliva passing between them could be heard. Outside the window, the clear moonlight, the brightly lit Sannyan-ban, and the bustling Shinto Avenue. It was as far away as the dark East Mountain Range. After a long time, Toru Watanabe finally let go of my Asahi. A few strands of firm hair stuck to his mouth. My Asahi licked her lips reluctantly. She raised her face and moved closer. While their lips were still together, Toru Watanabe pulled her over and let her sit in his arms. He reached out and pulled off the belt of her bathrobe. "Senior, I like you," he whispered in her ear. My Asahi's body trembled slightly. Knock, knock, knock. Osamu Kanai knocked on the door. "Watanabe. Watanabe. Are you there?" After shouting a few times, a voice finally came from inside. "What's the matter?" Osamu Kanai was shocked. He had never heard Toru Watanabe's low and impatient tone. But then he was immediately overwhelmed by anger. "Didn't you say that Yumi-sen was going out to play? I've been waiting outside for almost half an hour." Toru Watanabe's lips moved away from my Asahi's thin and delicate collarbone. He was just about to speak. "No." My Asahi reached her hand into his hair and pressed him down again. Osamu Kanai's ears twitched. he exclaimed. You're not watching a paid movie in there, are you? I told you that my senpai is in my room. Toru Watanabe gritted his teeth. You have Kujo-san, but you're thinking about Senpai Asahi when you're watching a movie. Although I'll also think about Shinigaki-chan. Are you done yet? Ha ha ha, no wonder you're living alone. Don't worry, I'll keep it a secret for you. But you have to accompany me to Yumi-san's place tomorrow. The day after tomorrow. I'm going to accompany Miki tomorrow, hiss. My Asahi bit Toru Watanabe's ear. Her hot breath blew into his ear. Thinking about me. So intense? Let's go. I won't disturb you anymore. Have fun. Remember to tell me your name. Sigh, I've waited for so long. Where did my senpai go? Aoi Ichiki sighed. Next time, before you call me, please confirm whether I'm here or not. Rin Kiyono said while rubbing her forehead. When she was waiting for my Asahi in her dorm room, it wasn't easy for her either. She was bombarded with all sorts of questions. Aoi Ichiki smiled embarrassedly. I'm really sorry for making Kiyono-san accompany me for so long. Rin Kiyono sighed. There's no point in worrying about the past. We've wasted our time tonight. We need to immediately discuss our plans for tomorrow night. Okay, I'll listen to Kiyono-san. The two of them walked on the wooden planks of the corridor. When they passed by Toru Watanabe's room, Rin Kiyono suddenly stopped. What's wrong? Aoi Ichiki asked. Rin Kiyono rubbed her chin and thought for a while before knocking on the door. Koi, what do you want? I told you the day after tomorrow. This is the first time I've seen someone with such a bad temper. What are you doing inside, Toru Watanabe-san? Kiyono-san? After a moment of silence, her tone softened. Koi just came to find me. I told him I was busy, so he guessed that I was watching a paid movie. Can you guess what I'm doing? Humph. Rin Kiyono frowned. Toru Watanabe's snort sounded strange. What movie? Rin Kiyono asked. Aoi Ichiki suddenly remembered how nervous Osamu Kanai was when she came to find Rin Kiyono. Kiyono-san, Kiyono-san. She hurriedly called out in a low voice. Rin Kiyono was puzzled. Yes, Aoi Ichiki whispered. When I came here just now, I saw that Koi was also here. His expression was strange, and I felt like he was hiding something. He probably found out that Koen Watanabe was watching a paid movie. What movie is it? Rin Kiyono frowned. Aoi Ichiki blinked and explained with a red face. It's OOO. Koen Watanabe should be in OO right now. Rin Kiyono was puzzled at first, then in disbelief, and then her face turned red. Kiyono-san, let's go. Let's not disturb Koen Watanabe. Rin Kiyono finally came back to her senses under Aoi Ichiki's persuasion. Unbelievable. Unforgivable. Dirty. Rin Kiyono quickly ran out of the door. When the footsteps outside the door disappeared, Toru Watanabe let go of my Asahi's head. We have to be careful of Kiyono. She's too dangerous. I'm sorry. Although he was prepared for Rin Kiyono to find out, it was better to avoid being caught red-handed. My Asahi didn't care about the people passing by outside at all. She only looked at him. My Asahi was already in another world. At the same time, she was tempting Toru Watanabe to give up on reality and go with her. Tetsuya Watanabe looked into her clear but lustful eyes and immediately obeyed, no longer thinking about the outside world. He pressed her face down again. Her arrogant love flowed through Toru Watanabe's body through her intoxicating mouth. Chapter 162. Do you want to take a shower? My Asahi shook her head gently as she tied the belt of her bathrobe. I want to bring Toru's scent back with me. After sending off my Asahi, Toru Watanabe took out Coke from the mini fridge and poured it on the tatami mat in his room. He called the front desk. Yes, I accidentally spilled it. Please help me change it. If there's any extra cost, it'll be included in the room price. The person on the other end of the line said in a gentle Kyoto accent, and promised to get someone to change it immediately. Toru Watanabe didn't like to be present when the staff was changing things, so he decided to go out for a walk. He took a simple shower in the room's bathroom, changed into his private clothes, took the little prince, and left the room with the window wide open. He walked out of the eastern villa, stepped on the bluestone road, and blended into the noisy crowd. After rejecting several attempts to strike up a conversation, he walked into a quiet and elegant coffee shop, ordered a cup of coffee, and sat by the window to read a book. Occasionally he would stare at the bustling old street in a daze. He read the book 3 times before going back. The next morning, Toru Watanabe tried to push his hair back as he walked into a spacious tatami restaurant. Everyone was sitting on the tatami mats and eating a fragrant breakfast. The seats were random, and most of them were with the team members who were working with them today. "Good morning, Kiyono-san." "Good morning," Rin Kiyono said perfunctorily as she put some vegetable salad into her bowl. She didn't even look at Toru Watanabe. She didn't want to talk to Toru Watanabe for the moment when she thought about how they watched a paid movie in the room last night, and did that kind of thing while talking to her. "Didn't sleep well last night? Did you dream about me?" "What did you say?" Yoshimi Tamamo, who was sitting opposite Rin Kiyono, looked at him with displeasure. "Talk to you? If you don't need your ears, you can donate them to someone who needs them." Toru Watanabe imitated Rin Kiyono's tone. "Toru Watanabe-san." Rin Kiyono raised her head. "Sorry, we can talk later. I'm starving." Toru Watanabe sat down about 3 people away from them. Breakfast was a vegetable salad, roasted willow fish, pork salad, and miso soup made from fried tofu with radish. Toru Watanabe drank a mouthful of miso soup and felt that it tasted good. He took another sip and then picked up the meat of the roasted willow fish. "Senpai, where did you go last night?" While he was eating, he heard Aoi Ichiki's voice. "Shopping." Mayasahi's calm voice sounded. "Alone?" "Yeah." "Why didn't you ask me to come along?" "Yesterday, Kiyono and I also wanted to go and play, so we went to look for our senior." "I miss someone." "Senpai, we're planning to go today." The meat of the roasted willow fish was very chewy. Toru Watanabe ate 2 mouthfuls before he moved his chopsticks to the other dishes. At this time he absolutely could not look at Rin Kiyono. After breakfast, Toru Watanabe went back to his room to take a shower. He felt that he had taken too many showers recently. He had to take at least 2 more showers tonight. He did not know if taking too many showers would be harmful. When he came out, there were not many students left in the Eastern Mountain Villa. When he walked through the door with his hands in his pockets, a group of girls suddenly called out to him. "Kun Watanabe." Toru Watanabe turned around and looked at the 4 girls in front of him. He had seen them before and remembered their names, but he had never spoken to them before. "What's the matter?" He took his hands out of his pockets to avoid giving off the impression that he was too arrogant. "I like you." "I like you too." The second was an ordinary girl with a round face. "You guys? Me too. I really like Kun Watanabe." The third was a short-haired girl. "No, wait. Kun Watanabe is at the culture festival. At the sports festival. He's so handsome. Kun Watanabe, I've fallen in love with you." The fourth was a lively girl with big breasts. Toru Watanabe looked at the 3 of them. "Now what should I say?" "Ahahaha. Kun Watanabe, you big idiot." The 4 girls held hands and ran away while laughing as if their prank had been successful. Toru Watanabe adjusted the position of the black diving watch on his wrist and continued walking along Sanaban. The Japanese-style wooden house was short and simple. The roof was made of bricks and tiles, and it was an old-fashioned building with cage-like windows. Geisha in kimonos with pale faces walked hurriedly on the flagstone road from time to time in order to rush to the event. Kyoto was modeled after Luoyang and Chang, and of the Tang dynasty. It had experienced thousands of years of wind and rain, and it had the charm of blue and white porcelain. Because there was still time, Toru Watanabe stopped to line up when he passed by an ice cream shop. He wanted to try matcha ice cream. In front of him were Chinese, Koreans, and even a white couple in kimonos. At the front were a few girls in Kanagawa High School uniforms. After they bought their stuff, they took turns to confess to Toru Watanabe when they passed by him. "Kun Watanabe, I like you." "Oh, Kun Watanabe, I like you the most." "Thank you." Like. "Got it. Please go out with me." That's fine. Just like before, after confessing, the four girls quickly ran away. The Chinese, Koreans, and whites in front of them looked back at Toru Watanabe in confusion. A Chinese girl in a cherry blossom kimono, about 28 years old, with her hair tied up, looked like a beautiful young married woman. After she bought the ice cream, she said to Toru Watanabe in Japanese, which she had just learned. "Do Teribkoan, I like you." Oh, I like you too. And my name is Watanabe. Written in Chinese, it means Watanabe. You can speak Chinese. The beautiful young woman looked at him in surprise. When the white couple said they liked Toru Watanabe responded in French, "Thank you." These people didn't think this was a Japanese custom, did they? After experiencing it twice, Toru Watanabe guessed why Kazumi Ikeda agreed to vote for Kyoto. The ice cream in autumn was cold, but it was delicious. Toru Watanabe took a bite, raised his camera to the sky, took a picture, and sent it to Kumiko, who was in class. "I heard that Kyoto Uji's matcha is the most authentic. Don't know if I can taste it tomorrow." Maybe she was in class. The message was unread. Toru Watanabe didn't mind eating while walking, occasionally nodding to the girls who confessed to him. Is this a group flirting? Can I call the police? When he arrived at the bus stop, he took a bus to Kagawa, where the girl he wanted to confess to is waiting for him. On the sparkling Kagawa bank, Miki Kujo's car was already parked there. Toru Watanabe opened the car door, but didn't get in. He put his hand on the roof and reached out to Miki Kujo. "You made me wait. You're the first one," Miki Kujo said in a very unfriendly tone. "You're the one who came too early. There's still." Miki Kujo took back her hand and crossed her arms. She was about to get out of the car, but she stopped and rested her legs. "Drive back to Tokyo." The car's accelerator hummed, but it didn't move. It was a very difficult job to be sandwiched between a young lady and a future young master. Wait. Toru Watanabe bent down and reached out to help Miki Kujo. "I was wrong. I remembered the wrong time. I'm sorry." "What wrong time? Do you think I'm an idiot?" Miki Kujo waved his hand. "I'm sitting in the car. I came early or late. Is it up to me?" The female driver quickly turned off the car, avoiding the dilemma of whether to start the car or not. She bowed to the two people and apologized. "Miss Young Master, I'm really sorry. The car was in good condition today, so I arrived earlier than expected." "I knew it. How could Miki love her more than I do? I came 10 minutes early," Toru Watanabe said. 10 minutes. Miki Kujo turned her head and looked at him outside the car door. "You seem satisfied?" 15 minutes next time. Toru Watanabe reached out his hand again. "Half an hour." Miki Kujo put her hand in his. "Half an hour is nothing for you. I can wait here the night before. Then let's do it next time." "No, I don't think we should limit our love to the length of time we wait." Jinglu got out of the car from the other door. Yes, I'm talking about you, robot." Toru Watanabe pointed at her. "You're not allowed to follow, it's just me and Miki." Jinglu ignored him, walked around the back of the car, and walked behind Miki Kujo. Miki looked at her and said, "You can stay here today. Go and have some fun." "Miss," Miki Kujo looked at her from the corner of her eye. Jinglu lowered her head. "Yes. I can't order you around. When I become the head of the Kujo family, you'll be the first to be fired." Toru Watanabe looked up and said proudly. Jinglu looked at him with a murderous look. If it weren't for Miki Kujo, she might have already taken out a gun. Miki Kujo glanced at Toru Watanabe. "I find that you're getting more and more arrogant." "Then let's not fire her. I'm just joking. I'm talking about the head of the Kujo family," Miki Kujo said with a terrifying expression. "Wait, are you really going to fire the robot? Although she's not good enough, and I hate her, she's a woman after all. I'll be the first to disagree if it's a male bodyguard." Under Jingliu's angry eyes, Miki Kujo grabbed Toru Watanabe's ear. "Smooth talker." After the car left, she asked, "Where are we going?" "Let's walk around, then have lunch." Toru Watanabe stopped being so frivolous. The two of them held hands and walked along the Duck River. The autumn sky was clear, the sound of water gurgling, and the clear autumn wind brushed the water plants by the river, making people feel relaxed and happy. Miki Kujo wore a simple white short-sleeved shirt with English letters printed on it today, and a light long skirt on the lower half of her body. Usually, she didn't care about the low temperature in her environment, but in this late autumn morning, the wind by the river brought a hint of coldness. "Are you cold?" "A little." Toru Watanabe took off his red and white baseball-style jacket and put it on her. The jacket was a lot bigger for Miki Kujo, and her white little hands were barely able to squeeze out of the sleeves, which was very cute. Toru Watanabe hugged her waist and smelled her hair. "I missed you very much yesterday." "How much?" Miki Kujo said with a smile. An old man walking Shiba Inu came over. He squatted down and fastened his belt. The Shiba Inu turned around and looked at the old man as if a picture had been paused. Toru Watanabe put his lips close to Miki Kujo's ear and whispered, "I wanted to swim down from the Duck River to Tokyo with you. That's how I missed you." "Does the Duck River pass by Tokyo?" "Who knows?" Toru Watanabe said with a smile. "So you're lying to me?" "Reality serves art. It doesn't matter where the Duck River flows. What matters is that I want to swim back to Tokyo from the Duck River to find you." "You're always talking nonsense," Miki Kujo said angrily. The Shiba Inu and the old man walked past them. At this time, the Shiba Inu was already on the old man's back. It put its forelimbs on the old man's shoulder and looked around with a smiling face. This reminded Toru Watanabe of the rickshaw at Shimizu Temple. "You haven't told me how much you missed me," he said to Miki Kujo. "I didn't miss you." "Really?" "Of course." Miki Kujo looked at the Shiba Inu. "Then why did you arrive at the rendezvous point before me? Do you want to die?" "Ha ha ha, I know. Your love for me is hidden in your heart, but you won't say it out." The driver drove too fast. "How can I wait for someone?" Miki Kujo said with dissatisfaction. "I miss you, at most, to the extent of swimming at home." Toru Watanabe hugged her tightly. "It's 370 kilometers from the Duck River to Tokyo. It's too small for you to swim in the pool. Who knows if you're really swimming or not?" Kujio Miyoshi felt a faint sense of pressure and leaned her head comfortably into his chest. "I'll swim for you right now. Go, I'll watch." "I'm really going." "Okay. I'm really going. Go, go, go." Miki Kujo pushed him away. Toru Watanabe hugged her tighter and whispered in her ear, "The river is too cold in autumn. Let's wait for summer." Miki Kujo was tired and wanted to find a place to rest. There just happened to be a bench nearby. A cat walked out of the shrubs used for landscaping, jumped lightly, and sat down on the bench in the posture of a sphinx. Its big and transparent eyes were like glass beads, staring at the Duck River motionlessly. This scene was very much like an alien who came to Earth and missed home. "What should we do?" The two of them stood in the same place. Toru Watanabe asked Miki Kujo. "Drive it away," Miki Kujo ordered. The Duck River advocates the union of man and nature. Look at the others and the one sitting on the ground. Let's not disturb it. There are other seats in front. Is man and nature more important, or am I more important? Do you still need to ask? Of course you're more important. Then drive it away. No problem. Toru Watanabe walked over and squatted in front of the cat. "Friends from Kyoto, can you move aside? We're guests from Tokyo, and we came here to see the Duck River." The cat ignored him. "You don't understand?" Toru Watanabe changed into a Kyoto accent. "Hey, don't embarrass me in front of my girlfriend, or don't blame me for being rude." The cat turned its furry round face and looked at him, then continued to look into the distance, missing the scenery of its hometown. Toru Watanabe raised his head and said to Miki Kujo, who was standing, "I think this cat might think I'm an idiot." "I think you're an idiot too." "I see. I was wondering why I did such a thing. That would make sense." Miki Kujo's face was tense as she looked down at him coldly. But if one looked carefully, the corners of her mouth rose, then smoothed, rose and smoothed. Finally, she burst out laughing. Because she didn't want to laugh, but she laughed. She forced herself to look disdainful before she laughed. Toru Watanabe stood up with a smile, put his arm around her slender waist and said with a sigh, "Let's go. Let's let the cat stay here. The two of us idiots will sit somewhere else. What did you say? I'm an idiot. Humph. The two of them walked forward. Fortunately, no more cat jumped out of the bushes. Toru Watanabe wiped the chairs clean, and the two of them finally sat down and quietly enjoyed the scenery of the Duck River. On the rocks in the stream, tourists skipped past and took pictures on them. A woman in her 30s sat on the riverbank eating baked rice cakes. Beside her was a 120 yuan bottle of green tea. On the path by the stream, under the wooden terrace of a Japanese restaurant, a young man from China who came to Kyoto University to study held a guitar and sang the Chengdu version of Kyoto. It was like crying. It was really unpleasant. In the song of Walking to the End of Hanami Path, sitting at the door of a small tavern, Toru Watanabe pointed at the duck in the watergrass. I wonder how much meat will be left after plucking the feathers. Isn't it man and nature? Nah. Toru Watanabe was jealous and said coquettishly, is man and nature more important, or am I more important? Miki Kujo rolled her eyes at him as if she couldn't stand it. Toru Watanabe laughed, leaned forward and kissed her. This was a kiss without any lust, only a faint warmth lingering in his heart. The water of the Duck River was so clear that the bottom could be seen. When it hit the stones, the splashes were shining under the warm autumn sun. Chapter 163. Halfway through the kiss, Miki Kujo suddenly pushed Toru Watanabe away. Did you eat ice cream? She questioned. You can taste that? Toru Watanabe found it a little unbelievable. He couldn't taste what Miki Kujo ate in the morning. Seeing Miki Kujo's ugly expression, he hurriedly promised, I'll brush my teeth next time. Brush your teeth? She snorted angrily. You didn't think of leaving food for me when you ate, and you dare to say that you love me? You're talking about this. Didn't you taste it? Miki Kujo didn't say much, and directly put her hand on his waist. Before she could exert force, Toru Watanabe said, Bye. Let's go now. I can't walk. Her hand slowly began to exert force. I'll carry you. That should be enough, right? Toru Watanabe half squatted in front of the chair. Originally, she only wanted him to run once, but looking at Toru Watanabe's back, Miki Kujo smiled and leaned on him as if she wanted to push him down. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Let's go. From the small slope in the middle of the bushes, the two of them left the Yagawa River and went to the nearby commercial street. On the way, behave yourself. I've never carried anyone on my back before. I'm just looking for the most suitable position. Toru Watanabe's hand slid down Miki Kujo's soft and round buttocks and supported her plump and tight thighs. The strange feeling on her buttocks disappeared, and Miki Kujo could finally enjoy the pleasure of being carried for the first time in peace. Waves of heat came from the places where their bodies touched, especially from the side of Toru Watanabe's face. The more she looked at it, the more comfortable it felt. She wanted to rub her face against it. Miki Kujo pressed the side of her face against his firm and broad shoulders. When he closed his eyes, the turbulence of the Yagawa River, the chirping of wild birds, the warm wind blowing through his hair, and Toru Watanabe's even breathing formed a harmonious lullaby. This autumn morning was very sleepy. Miki, did you receive any special radio waves? Airwaves. Miki Kujo, who was about to fall asleep, asked in a tired tone. Look. Toru Watanabe pinched her leg with his right hand. Miki Kujo forced herself to look to the right. A furry face was looking at her. The orange dog face was smiling as if it was greeting her. It was the Shiba Inu on the old man's back. Electric waves. I'll let you have electric waves. Kujio Miyoshi tightened its grip around Toru Watanabe's neck and bit down on his ear. Ouch. You're in pain even though I didn't use any force. No, it's not good to drool in the ear. Wait, don't bite me for real. After buying ice cream from the nearest store, the two returned to the Yagawa River and sat on a bench under the shade of a maple tree. Open your mouth, Miki Kujo ordered. Just when Toru Watanabe thought she was going to give him a bite, Miki Kujo took a bite of her own ice cream. She stood up and put the small bite of ice cream on her pink tongue, letting it slide slowly into Toru Watanabe's mouth. Toru Watanabe's eyes widened. Miki Kujo smiled arrogantly. This is the punishment for letting me eat the residue in your mouth. No, it's a reward. Hearing Toru Watanabe's inarticulate protest, she ordered coldly, "Eat it quickly. If I eat one bite of yours, you have to eat 2 bites of mine." Toru Watanabe suddenly reached out and put his arm around her shoulder, bending her upper body slightly. Their mouths were at the same height, and he returned the ice cream that had melted into a small ball. Miki Kujo was caught off guard and swallowed it. "What are you doing?" She wiped the corner of her mouth, not sure if it was someone's saliva or ice cream, and angrily said, "It's too dirty. I tasted a little and thought it was delicious, so I wanted you to try it too." Toru Watanabe pointed at her mouth and said, "Do you think I'm an idiot?" Miki Kujo sneered, her eyes gradually filled with murderous intent. "Of course not. But did you forget that I'm an idiot? I'm a fool." Toru Watanabe snatched the ice cream, took a bite, and pulled Miki Kujo into his arms. After eating the ice cream, it was close to noon. The two planned to go somewhere else to eat. There was a cute flower shop next to Otagawa. In front of the shop stood a few housewives who had finished buying potted plants. They stared at Otagawa and enjoyed the river breeze. "Do you have a favorite flower?" Toru Watanabe asked. "I'm too lazy to take it," Miki Kujo replied. So Toru Watanabe took her hand and walked to the road. After a few steps, Miki Kujo shook off his hand. "What's wrong?" Toru Watanabe looked back at her in confusion. "I'm tired." Miki Kujo crossed her arms and looked at the crisscrossing telephone poles in the distance. "You're tired after sitting for so long. Do you mean I'm lying to you? Aren't you?" Miki Kujo stared at him. Before she could get angry, Toru Watanabe smiled and stretched out his hand to her. Okay, let's go and buy flowers." Slap. Miki Kujo slapped his hand away and walked straight to the road without looking back. No matter what happened between them, no matter how unreasonable she was, Toru Watanabe would definitely follow her. Miki Kujo was confident. If only it was all because of love. This thought took over for a second, and was suppressed by her. The way they met and the difference in their identities meant that it was impossible for them to be purely in love. As long as he was hers, it was fine. "Aren't you tired? Don't want flowers? If you don't want to take them, I can take them for you." Toru Watanabe's smiling voice came from behind. Miki Kujo quickened her pace. She didn't stop until she reached the traffic light at the intersection. Toru Watanabe walked to her side and naturally held her hand. Miki Kujo glanced at him disdainfully, but she was surprised to find that his gaze was on the other side of the road and not on her. Without hesitation, she stepped on his foot. Toru Watanabe turned his head and their eyes met. He looked at her with a gentle gaze. "Why did you step on me?" Toru Watanabe said in a gentle tone and a smile. Miki Kujo was obviously angry, but her heart skipped a beat because of his words. She felt that she was reacting like an ordinary girl, and her face became colder. Then she kicked him again. "Can you step on it with another foot? Are you afraid? What's there to be afraid of between the two of us? I just don't want you to be angry and unhappy." Miki Kujo pursed her lips disdainfully and didn't refute. With their current relationship, as long as he didn't cheat on her or betray her, she wouldn't do anything to Toru Watanabe. As for other things such as just now, even if she wanted to punish him, she would do it after closing the bedroom door at night. The green light lit up and made a ticking sound. The two of them held hands and stepped on the zebra crossing. Opposite them, an old couple supported each other and passed by the young couple. Because of the Chengdu version of Kyoto, there was a mention of Hanami Road, so the lunch location was chosen at Hanami Road. This was the oldest and most famous red light district in Japan, where Memoirs of a Geisha was set. On both sides of the street were simple and natural old buildings. On the clean street, geishas with high hair buns, beautiful kimonos, and white faces walked gracefully, sometimes disappearing behind the curtains of a shop. The lunch location was a high-end restaurant where geishas performed. It was said that without a referral, one couldn't enter. But for Miss Kujo, such a place was just ordinary. The food was light and it was authentic Kansai food. When the geishas performed, Toru Watanabe thought that it would be like on TV, where the geishas played and sang, but it turned out to be like a play. The name of the play was Women's Training in Court. The girl fled to the mountain, and the handsome man chased after her. The two of them quarreled for a while, and then whispered sweet nothings to each other. At this time, the other girl also caught up and scolded the girl in front for being immoral. Of course, the girl didn't want to and quarreled with her. Just when Toru Watanabe was so focused that he didn't even eat, thinking that the two of them were going to fight. The handsome man who had been silent all this while, walked between the two girls, held their hands, sang a song, and danced. Toru Watanabe laughed and slapped his thigh so hard that he almost dropped his chopsticks. Suddenly, he found that all the guests in the restaurant were looking at him. Even the performer was stunned. Toru Watanabe stopped laughing and asked Miki Kujo awkwardly, "Can't I laugh?" "Who dares to say that?" Miki Kujo looked at him with a smile. "It's not a question of whether you want to talk or not." Before he could finish, Miki Kujo fed him a piece of Hokkaido red sea urchin sushi, then put down her chopsticks and rested her chin on her hand. "Is it good?" "I don't like it raw." It's good." Toru Watanabe gave her a thumbs up. The meal took 2 hours, and they embarrassed their boss. When it was almost 2:30, the two of them set off for Mist Mountain. There were natural scenery that changed with the seasons, retro trams, and many ancient temples and shrines. The golden and red colors complemented each other. A breeze blew, and from time to time, a few red leaves fell and landed on the mossy ground. The two of them walked and entered an oil painting. At night, when they returned to the Eastern Mountain Villa, they met Rin Kiyono. At that time, they took a taxi back. Rin Kiyono was standing at the door, waiting for Aoi Ichiki and Mayasahi to go sightseeing at night. "Why are you alone?" Toru Watanabe took the initiative to greet her. Rin Kiyono looked up and glanced at him. Then her eyes swept over Miki Kujo's jacket. "Does it have anything to do with you? Does it have anything to do with you?" I'm asking." Toru Watanabe avoided the two girls' eyes. Miki Kujo withdrew her oppressive gaze and smiled at Rin Kiyono. "The weather is good today, Kiyono-san. I think it's just so Kujo-san." Rin Kiyono replied coldly. Today's weather changed from sunny to cloudy, and it was said that it would rain at night. This came from Toru Watanabe, who studied the signboard of the Eastern Mountain Villa. As for whether he thought the weather was good or just so, it was temporarily confidential information. After the two girls started mocking each other with the weather for 3 minutes, Aoi Ichiki and Mayasahi finally came out. "Good evening, Koen Watanabe Kujo-san." Aoi Ichiki seemed to be in a good mood. "Good evening," Toru Watanabe said. Mayasahi didn't say a word. She stared at Toru Watanabe with her clear eyes. Toru Watanabe pretended that he didn't see anything. He intimately hugged Miki Kujo. "It's cold outside, let's go in." Miki Kujo was also tired after walking for a day. She yawned in his arms and nodded. The two of them walked into the Eastern Mountain Villa under the watchful eyes of Rin Kiyono, Mayasahi, and Aoi Ichiki. After returning to the room, Miki Kujo immediately lay on the bed. She didn't want to move at all. However, when Toru Watanabe gently pressed on her and lifted her bangs, she stretched her arms and wrapped them around Toru Watanabe's neck. Toru Watanabe pulled the hem of her short sleeves out of her skirt and caressed her smooth, creamy, silky skin. Miki Kujo released her hands from Toru Watanabe's neck and motioned for him to take off her short sleeves. "You sleep for a while. I'll fill the bathtub with water." "Okay." Miki Kujo pulled up the messy sheets and covered her chest and waist. Toru Watanabe got up and adjusted the temperature of the room to a temperature where they wouldn't feel cold even if they weren't wearing clothes. Then he went to the bathroom to fill the bathtub with hot water. The bathtub was very big. It took 10 minutes to fill it up. Miki Kujo was already asleep. Toru Watanabe didn't wake her up. He directly carried her into the bathroom. Halfway through, Miki Kujo unconsciously reached out her arms and skillfully wrapped them around his neck. She pressed her face against his chest. Toru Watanabe was too lazy to wash their bodies. He directly sat in the bathtub. The water immediately overflowed. The two of them were soaked in the hot water. The naked Miki Kujo was sandwiched between his legs. Toru Watanabe drank the iced drink with one hand and stroked the girl's body in his arms as the water rippled. Miki Kujo finally woke up. She stretched and yawned. Then, she leaned her head against Toru Watanabe's chest. "Give me a sip," she asked softly in a voice that was somewhat tired after being satisfied. Toru Watanabe took a big gulp and leaned over to feed her. After drinking, Miki Kujo used the back of her head to hit his chest, as if to say, "I asked you to feed me the normal way." After the bath, Toru Watanabe felt comfortable all over. Although he wasn't tired at all, he still fell asleep with Miki Kujo in his arms. When the two of them slept together, she usually leaned to one side while Toru Watanabe hugged her from behind. Miki Kujo liked to sleep on his arm. She used to get numb from the pressure. As for the lower body, it depended on the situation. When Miki Kujo was happy, Toru Watanabe could put his legs on her. When she was in a bad mood, she would clamp his legs between hers. When she was in a bad mood, they would be stuck together like a jigsaw puzzle. After waking up in the morning, there were all kinds of strange positions that couldn't be summed up. He was unlucky. In one night, he pressed down on Miki Kujo's hair 4 times. Toru Watanabe simply wrapped himself in the quilt and slept on the floor. This had happened before. It really rained that night. The rain fell on the wooden window and made a pleasant knocking sound. Toru Watanabe woke up thirsty. He drank water as he walked into the bathroom. He opened the wooden window. It was raining, but the moonlight was soft and transparent. It seemed to have been waiting for a long time to pour in. The scenery outside the window was beautiful. Toru Watanabe put down the cup and picked up Miki Kujo with the quilt. "What are you doing?" Miki Kujo forced her eyes open and closed them immediately. "I'm going to show you something good. Can't we see it tomorrow?" When she was half asleep, the milady would occasionally use a coquettish tone. Toru Watanabe ignored her and carried her into the bathroom. He placed Miki Kujo in his arms and wrapped the quilt around both of them. Only their faces were exposed. He sat down on the tatami mats facing the window. He didn't wake up Miki Kujo, who was sleeping with her head tilted to one side. He reached out with his hot hands to the girl's shoulders and rubbed her belly. Not long after. "Oh, you're so annoying." Miki Kujo opened her eyes. "What are you looking at?" "Yeah." Toru Watanabe gestured outside the window. Miki Kujo looked over. In the bright autumn rain, yellow lanterns that stretched to the horizon decorated the quaint streets of Kyoto. There was a maple tree planted in a nearby courtyard. Water droplets fell from its red leaves. In the distance, there was a tall mountain range. After weathering the wind and rain, Kyoto's 1,000 years of beautiful scenery was here. Miki Kujo was also mesmerized by the night scenery. "Miki, can you promise me one thing?" Miki Kujo responded lazily. "In the future, you can punish me however you want, but can you not hurt ordinary people?" Toru Watanabe whispered in her ear. The sound of tourists chatting on the quaint streets could be heard through the curtain of rain. "I said no." Miki Kujo looked out the window. Her voice was emotionless. "No matter what happened in the past, let it go. In the future, I hope that we can trust each other." "Are you threatening me?" Toru Watanabe hugged her tightly and said softly but firmly, "It's not a threat. I hope that you can change for me. Are you willing?" The bright moonlight shone through the window and enveloped the two of them like a searchlight. "Before you die." Miki Kujo's body relaxed again. She leaned into Toru Watanabe's arms as if she was about to fall asleep. Toru Watanabe laughed. His hand slid down Miki Kujo's shoulder and down her arm to her palm. In the night, Toru Watanabe raised Miki Kujo's left hand and put a ring on her ring finger. Under the moonlight, Miki Kujo looked at the ring. She couldn't tell what material it was made of. The ring was made of Kujo vine. On the surface of the ring, wrapped in Kujo vine leaves, was a blood-red square gem. "We're not engaged yet, right?" Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes in satisfaction. Toru Watanabe didn't answer. He bent down and greedily sucked on her lips like a child who couldn't bear to eat a piece of jelly. Miki Kujo quietly lowered her eyes. Chapter 164. November 5th, Thursday, the third day of the study trip. Early in the morning, it was quiet all around. Toru Watanabe woke up. Before he could open his eyes, his hand had already touched Miki Kujo's slippery and warm body. Miki Kujo groaned in dissatisfaction, unconsciously pushed him away and turned her back. Toru Watanabe leaned on her and hugged her from behind. Miki Kujo didn't escape this time. She adjusted her position in his arms and continued to sleep peacefully. At this time, Toru Watanabe opened his eyes. The faint light of the morning sun shone through the curtains. The Nine Beauties' skin was so soft, it could even be said to be crystal clear. Toru Watanabe only needed to lightly suck and it would leave a purple mark, because it wouldn't fade for a long time. After the first time, Miki Kujo didn't allow him to do it again. After a while, Miki Kujo slowly opened her eyes. What time is it? 5:30. Is it still raining? I don't know when it will stop. Miki Kujo closed her eyes again. There was still half an hour before she returned to Tokyo. Just as she was about to sleep for a while, she suddenly felt Toru Watanabe's hand moving around. Thinking that he was being naughty again, she took her hand out of the quilt. What are you doing? She opened her eyes impatiently. What she saw was Toru Watanabe's slender left hand with clear joints. His fingernails were neatly trimmed at her request. He stared at his hand for a whole day without any problems. Between his ring finger and index finger, there was a strand of hair slightly thicker than hair. It was slightly curly and slightly short. Yours? Toru Watanabe looked at her. Are you blind? It's obvious that it's yours. Kujio Miki said in annoyance. No. Toru Watanabe shook his head seriously. This color is obviously yours. Color? Miki Kujo looked carefully and didn't find any difference. Do you want to compare it? Toru Watanabe said as he tried to crawl under the quilt. Are you crazy? Miki Kujo scolded and took the quilt away and wrapped it around herself. If you want to compare it with yours. No, this kind of thing has to be clear. Toru Watanabe said as he got up and pressed on top of Miki Kujo. Wrapped in the blanket, Jioju Meiji looked up at him with her beautiful eyes. She looked very cute, but also a little pitiful. He threw the curly hair in his hand and kissed her. Miki Kujo was dressed by the bedside. How about you stay here and come back with me the day after tomorrow? Toru Watanabe was lying on the bed and playing with the hem of her dress. Miki Kujo's face was still red and her voice was flirtatious. She glanced at him and said, There's a price to pay for enjoying power and wealth. I'm the only one left in the main Kujo family. If I stay with you every day, some people will take advantage of me. That's too tiring. Do you need help? Toru Watanabe asked. Sure. Didn't you want to be the premier? I can give it to you after I get a seat in the 2nd district of Kanagawa Prefecture. No, I'm kidding. My dream is to retire at 25. Change that dream of yours. Give me the socks. Toru Watanabe found the socks and handed them to her. While Miki Kujo was doing her hair, Toru Watanabe got off the bed and began putting on his clothes. In the end, he was even faster than she was. Shizuru and the chauffeur were already waiting at the door. Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo for a while longer before letting her get in the car. Miki Kujo rested her hands on the armrest and closed her eyes. When the car was driving on the Takedo, she said, Have the people from Iwate Prefecture retreat. Miss, Shizuru said in a low voice, a high school student with such skills. You've seen the video of him practicing with guns. Also, why did he coincidentally appear at Imperial Tea House? I think it's prudent for you to keep him by your side. There's no need. Kujio Miki, whose eyes were still closed, interrupted her. Shizuru wanted to persuade her again, but when she looked up, she noticed that the young miss who never wore any accessories suddenly had a ring on her left hand. Yesterday there was nothing there. Yes. She lowered her head again. Watching the car disappear at the end of the street, Toru Watanabe didn't turn back to the hotel. Instead, he ran along the deserted Senonaka in the early morning. It was foggy, the shops were closed, and there were raindrops on the bluestone road. Only 2 photographers were taking pictures. Toru Watanabe ran through the deserted street. He ran past Sananaka, Shimizu, Kimono Rental Shop, Plum Blossom Hall, and finally Kiyomisa Temple. This was only a warm-up. Turning right, Asahi Hall, Okamoto Fabric Store, Saishire Nunnery. Finally, he ran in the direction of Sananaka. The route was a triangular distance of 1,500 meters, and he ran 3 laps. Rin Kiyono walked into the restaurant, chose breakfast, and sat down at an empty table. She drank a mouthful of steaming miso soup. She always thought that waking up early in the morning with a warm miso soup was a happy thing. While eating tuna sprinkled with mashed yam and seaweed, Aoi Ichiki and Yoshimi Tamamo came over and sat down next to her. Next to actually meant that they were separated by one person. Her personal space was much larger than the average person's. Last night, the girls in my class had a pillow fight. Aoi Ichiki excitedly said, more than a dozen people, more than 30 pillows. It was so intense. Kobayashi was directly knocked down. Ha ha ha. Sounds like fun. Yoshimi Tamamo enviously said. Doesn't your class have any activities? Ghost stories. Aoi Ichiki was interested and said, I like ghost stories the most. I often play ghost games at night. Yoshimi Tamamo's body trembled as if she was afraid. I can't stand it. After saying that, she asked Rin Kiyono, who was focused on eating, Kiyono classmate, do you like ghost stories? I haven't seen it before. Rin Kiyono felt that it was like tuna, so she turned to eat the grilled fish. The grilled fish was not as good as yesterday's grilled fish. By the way, Kiyono classmate, do you have any plans today? Aoi Ichiki asked carefully. I plan to walk alone. I want to take a look at the path of philosophy. Rin Kiyono replied. I'll go with you. Thank you, Tamamo classmate, but there's no need. Why? I like to be alone. Okay. Yoshimi Tamamo pursed her lips and stirred the miso soup without appetite. Aoi Ichiki originally wanted to invite Rin Kiyono to find my senior together, but when she saw that Yoshimi Tamamo was the first to admit defeat, she immediately lost the courage to ask. Yesterday was a group activity set by the school, but today was a free day. Aoi Ichiki and Yoshimi Tamamo were talking about last night's supernatural story when a person walked over. Good morning, Kiyono classmate. The person sat down next to Rin Kiyono. They were really next to each other, but their bodies were not touching. Aoi Ichiki looked at Rin Kiyono with disgust and said, You reek of sweat. Please stay away from me, Watanabe classmate. That's right. Yoshimi Tamamo said exaggeratedly as she pinched her nose. Aoi Ichiki secretly sniffed. There was a slight smell of sweat, but there wasn't any strange smell. When she thought about how this smell came from the handsome Koen Watanabe, she didn't feel any disgust at all. Did Koen Watanabe go for a run? She asked curiously. Yeah, I have a habit of running in the morning. Toru Watanabe answered as he drank his miso soup. You also run in the morning while studying? If I can run in the morning while studying, then what can't I do? I motivate myself like this. What can't you do? For example, take a shower after your morning run. Rin Kiyono reminded him in a cold voice. I'm afraid that by the time I finish my shower, you'll already be out. Why isn't this grilled fish as good as yesterday's? Toru Watanabe quickly finished the grilled fish in 2 or 3 bites. I'm going to Uji in a bit to visit Uji's wind instrument club. Come with me. I'm not going. Rin Kiyono took small bites of the fish cake. Why? I'm the one who should ask you why. I want to go to the path of philosophy by myself. Don't go, come with me to Uji. What's the reason? Kumiko invited me to visit her school. It wouldn't be good for a guy like me to meet 2 girls like Kumiko and Lina. This kind of thing can't be avoided even if it's a guy. The only girl who can accompany me is you. Please, Tora Rin. The 2 of them talked back and forth. Aoi Ichiki and Yoshimi Tamamo didn't have any room to interrupt. It was the first time they met someone who dared to talk to Kiyono like this. Obviously, the 2 of them didn't talk much in the wind instrument club. Rin Kiyono drank a mouthful of miso soup, put down the bowl properly, and slowly said to Toru Watanabe, I heard that Uji's matcha is the most authentic. It's my treat. The fare. Leave it to me. Rin Kiyono nodded lightly. Then I'll take pity on you this time. Since you're a member of my club, I'll reluctantly go with you this time. Then it's settled. Toru Watanabe finished his meal and stood up with the plate. Wait for me, I'll go take a shower and change. After watching him leave, Yoshimi Tamamo looked at Rin Kiyono. Kiyono classmate, what about the path of philosophy? Although matcha is from China, there's a saying that the world matcha is in Japan, and the matcha of Japan is in Uji. Compared to Akihito's path of philosophy, I'd rather try the most authentic matcha. Aoi Ichiki didn't understand and asked, Don't you like to be alone? Yes, I like to be alone, but I'm not against group activities. Yoshimi Tamamo was puzzled. What's wrong with Akihito's path of philosophy? I like cherry blossoms. Rin Kiyono decided not to eat the unpalatable grilled fish and save her stomach for matcha. She heard that there were two famous matcha shops in Uji, Nakamura Fujiyoshi and Ito Kyumin. Which one should she go to? After taking a shower, Toru Watanabe didn't wear his private clothes. Instead, he changed into the school uniform of Kamigawa High School. He wore a white shirt and a black suit jacket. Let's go. Okay. On the way to the bus, Toru Watanabe noticed that Rin Kiyono was staring at her phone. She didn't have this habit before. What are you looking at? It's a software that Tamamo classmate recommended to me yesterday. You can search for food, look at restaurant rankings, diner reviews, and even book a mealtime. Toru Watanabe didn't know if he heard wrong, but he felt that Rin Kiyono was showing off when she said those words. You don't think that I don't know about this software, do you? He asked carefully. Rin Kiyono's face turned cold. You know. I don't know. Dear Kiyono classmate, tell me where to download it. Toru Watanabe took out his phone. Unfortunately, Rin Kiyono never cared about what others said. Her body became colder. The two took the east-west line, and then changed to the Nara line. It took them 2 hours to reach Uji City. Compared to Kyoto, the number of tourists in Uji City was significantly less. No matter where you went, you could see the mountains in this small town. It was particularly quiet. There are so few people. Toru Watanabe looked around. Compared to the lively scenic spots, I like this place more. Rin Kiyono's tone was full of appreciation. Under the blue sky, the white clouds were slowly pacing. The two of them walked on the lush, clean, and quiet street under the sunlight that made them want to sleep. How about eating matcha first? Kumiko and I have an appointment to go to her school at noon. Okay. Rin Kiyono said. Nakamura Fujiyoshi's shop is nearby. Let's go there. Lead the way. Toru Watanabe waved his hand generously. The two walked across the zebra crossing without traffic lights, entered a quaint alley, and entered a traditional Japanese courtyard. This courtyard was the Nakamura Fujiyoshi's shop. Opening the linen door with the shop name printed on it, they walked through a short passage paved with dark brown wooden boards, and saw a small but exquisite open-air Japanese courtyard. Walking along the stone path, they arrived at the dining area of the shop. There were several long wooden benches beside the stone path. Thanks to Miss Kiyono, who finally knew about the food app, the two made an appointment early and did not need to queue for a number. They ordered matcha ice cream, matcha cake, matcha smoothie, matcha buckwheat cold noodles, matcha papaya. Anyway, they were all matcha. Matcha ice cream, placed in a thick bamboo tube, paired with white glutinous rice balls and red bean paste. The layers were distinct and the texture was rich. Matcha cake, matcha and chocolate flavored, paired with sweet cream and ice cream. Matcha smoothie, snow white and fluffy smoothie with matcha juice. And then, okay. Toru Watanabe interrupted Rin Kiyono's explanation. I'm not interested in matcha, and I don't pursue this kind of knowledge. It's hard to believe that there are people who hate matcha. Rin Kiyono said in surprise as she put the spoonful of smoothie into her mouth. If you say that, most of the guys are not human. Rin Kiyono ignored him. After finishing her first bite, she passed the rest of the smoothie to him. Thank you, but I'm not eating, Toru Watanabe said. Do you think I can eat so much by myself? Then you order. Can't I order? Of course you can. You should at least be useful. Don't think that just because you're handsome, you can do whatever you want. If you don't work hard, even if you're Watanabe, you'll be eliminated by society sooner or later. Rin Kiyono said. It's just eating matcha. Is it necessary? Haven't you read Rabindranath Tagore before? God's great authority is in the gentle breeze, not in the storm. Success or failure depends on the details. Watanabe classmate, you can't just read a book. Without thinking and summarizing, no matter how many books you read, it's still eat, I'll eat. Toru Watanabe picked up his spoon and scooped a big mouthful of smoothie into his mouth. The bittersweet coldness spread in his mouth. Rin Kiyono nodded with satisfaction, took a new spoon, and ate the matcha cake. Is it good? She asked. It's a little bitter. Toru Watanabe scooped another mouthful. But when I think about how Kiyono classmate ate it, maybe there's still. Shut up. Rin Kiyono said with a straight face. Eat your food. She used a new spoon and only ate one mouthful. There was no way there would be anything of hers on it. This guy liked to talk nonsense all day long. After finishing the matcha cake, under Rin Kiyono's suggestion, Toru Watanabe bought matcha chocolate, matcha cake, and matcha candies as a meeting gift for Kumiko. There was still some time before noon, so the two decided to walk to Hokuji. After turning left and right for about 20 minutes, they finally saw their destination. No wonder I like Hokuji so much. Is it because of Kosaka-san's breasts? Rin Kiyono asked, panting. Am I such a shallow person? Then isn't the reason I went to Kamigawa all because of your legs? Take a good look at where we are now. Rin Kiyono lowered her head. Under their feet was a long slope, and Hokuji High School was halfway up the slope. I finally understand why most girls in Hokuji have thicker legs than girls in Kamigawa. Just like science, they live on a planet with gravity 10 times higher than Earth. Even if their physique is the same, they are still stronger than Earthlings. Unfortunately, people like me from the Frisia clan have the second transformation, which is enough to make them despair. It's just that to conserve energy, I usually take the form of an ordinary Earthling. Rin Kiyono could no longer hear Toru Watanabe's nonsense. I shouldn't have come to Hokuji for matcha. This was the only thought in her mind when she was too tired to think. You're tuning into the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.